What's up, guys? Philosophical Pickle here, and today I am doing a Falcon and the Winter Soldier live stream, full review of the series, every episode, spoiler review. I'm going deep into it. What's that in the background? Is somebody playing something?
Nope.
I hear like a TV or something playing in the background, like some music or something.
I can mute.
Sounds like your kids are watching a movie, Anthony.
But I can't hear it. So I don't know what you're hearing.
I heard like a fantastical song or something in the background. It's gone now. Whatever. Fantastic start, guys. Let's get into this. Falcon and the Winter Soldier full series review. I'm here with the Nerd Man. What's up, Nerd Man?
Peace, man. Very erotic opening. I always find that opening bit, the dance very. Don't worry, guys. I'm hungover. Just.
I'm with the film elitist. What's up, man?
Jesus.
What's up, kitty cats out there? Everybody meow, meow, meow.
All right. Geek Speak. What's up, man?
What's going on? I'm Geek Speak. In the wise words of Uncle Iroh, make tea, not war.
Yes. Very well said. So, in this video, we're going to basically just go deep into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're going to review it. We're going to give spoilers. We're going to talk about the characters, the beats, the themes of the show, and we're just going to get deep into it. So, to start off, I want to give my overall thoughts on this show. I wasn't super excited for the show when I saw the trailer. The trailer was pretty good, but I had minimal excitement. I thought it was going to be another generic action show in the MCU. Two characters that I didn't think they worked without Captain America, and I'm kind of right, but especially Bucky. But watching the show, I'm in the middle. There are a lot of good things. There are a lot of bad things about the show. But overall, I think that some of the good elements are the acting, the action. I think there were some good themes in the show. I liked Anthony Mackie. I liked Bucky. I think in the first couple episodes, you really see the emotion on Anthony Mackie's face trying to understand what to do with the shield. And I think that Bucky's whole character arc of like making amends for the people that he killed with the book, and he can't tell that guy that he killed his son. Really great setup. And I think John Walker was good. I think, what else was good? I mean, the characters and the action were pretty much all that I can find that were amazing. I think Zemo was okay.
Wow.
Zemo was okay. I think some of the themes were okay. Some of the writing was okay. But overall, I think there was more good than bad in this show. But I'm not super thrilled about it. I'm not jumping up and down with excitement. I think that last episode had a lot of good elements and a lot of bad elements, some things that I don't agree with as a Captain America fan. But those are my initial thoughts. I think it was okay, not great. I think that I would give it about a 5.5 out of 10 if I had to rate it. So the floor is open to anybody. Start it off. Anything you want to say, let's get into the show. What did you hate? What did you love? Let's do it.
Should I go?
Jump in, man.
Go ahead.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
Let's go down the road.
Look, the first few episodes were like complete filler to me. I think you could almost have got most of what happened in those first few episodes into one episode, and it would have been fine. And so they were filler. They weren't particularly intriguing. They were for me, a B-level action movie. For those first few, then it got a little bit interesting. I think the last two episodes started picking up, and I thought there were some interesting themes being explored. I liked the way they were showing how Sam was embodied, without knowing it, embodied many of the characteristics of Captain America. And you know, it just and John Walker was excellent. Like the whole storyline for John Walker, which, you know, it turned out I was right about. I didn't think he was just some kind of one-dimensional villain, and it turns out I was kind of correct about that in this last episode. So I thought that all of that was the stuff that really kind of intrigued me. But I think this last episode just went off a cliff, to be honest. Like, it really, you know, I mean, I've got more to say about it, I'm sure, like when we talk about it, but you know, more we can, you know, I can delve more into it. I have to say that I also like the villain. I don't know what her name is.
Carly Morgenthau?
Carly Morgenthau, the Flag Smasher woman, has to be one of the MCU's most terrible villains thus far. And actually, they tried to flesh her out and make her interesting. But I guess it's because she goes to the like Michael Caine School of Acting or something. She seems like you know, a character from you know, like she's speaking like a character from Mary Poppins or you know, what's it? Totally forgetting things. Okay, Oliver Twist, or Oliver Twist, and I just don't believe her as this menacing, you know, terrorist at all. Just, I don't buy it for a fucking second. Yeah, like she really does seem like what is that musical with the little red-haired girl?
Annie?
Annie. She seems like she's just like a grown-up version of Annie to me, and just it doesn't, you know, and the way she speaks, it's just it just doesn't come through as like a compelling villain. That's what I have to say about it.
All right. Well, in a second, we'll admit everything good about it, and then we'll admit everything bad about it. But Film Elitist, what are your initial thoughts about the show as a whole?
Yeah, I have exhaustive and extensive notes here. I'm gonna dismantle this piece of shit when I get a chance. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna go over the basics. I didn't like the villain. I agree with the nerd man. I think she is second to probably only like the dark elf from the Dark World. It's Malekith. It's really embarrassing. It's really embarrassing.
Yeah.
I thought that the writing was dumb, and it tried to be smart and still failed to be smart, which makes it a double negative for me. It reminds me of Game of Thrones season 8. That's what it reminds me of. When people try to be smart and reach your big themes and they don't execute it, and it pisses me off. And so without getting too specific, I didn't like almost anything about it. Isaiah Bradley and John Walker were the two best parts, and this is a show about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so I'd have to say the writers failed, considering that John Walker and Isaiah Bradley ended up being the standouts of that series. I didn't give a shit about Sam or his sister or their shrimp boat. So,
okay,
yeah, I mean, you know, sorry, I kind of lost track there.
I think Geek Speak had to go do something, so continue going on a little bit. I like what you're saying.
I just thought that every thread that they pulled at was for the wrong reasons. It's like let's get big with the themes here. Let's try to talk about race. Let's try to talk about politics. Let's talk about terrorism. Let's try to talk about international sovereignty with borders. Like, you're not even executing the character arcs of the characters on your stupid Disney Plus show, and you're trying to preach to people about sovereignty with immigration. I think it's a little bit too complicated for you to get into if you have the writing skills of a fifth grader. That's what bothers me about it. You know, and the whole speech in that episode,
I want to piggyback.
I don't want to get too crazy here, but
piggyback, nerd man. What's up?
Go ahead, Geek.
I just wanted to piggyback off one thing you said. The biggest themes, right? And one thing I really didn't get was how they were trying to present what Captain America means to the world. And I don't mean as a moral symbol. I mean in terms of like what he can do power-wise, right? They were talking about him almost as if he was this Superman-esque kind of figure in the world that, you know, his like, you know, all the super soldiers, do you know what I mean? They're like one of the weakest types of meta-humans in this whole universe, and yet they're discussed as if, you know, there's so much more. I mean, like anybody can take these guys out, really. Like, you know, with any competent like hero could take like most of these, you know, super soldiers out. But it seemed like they had like a much bigger, like they could have a much bigger impact on things than. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like during the show, the way they were presenting the super soldiers.
Yes.
Did anyone else notice that?
It's almost like they were just used as a plot device.
No, but
like,
yeah,
because Carly was the only one that mattered.
Yeah.
Oh,
but, I mean,
but before we get deep into this,
when you talk about if Superman goes rogue, the implications of that, or if Wonder Woman or like one of those characters goes rogue, the or Thor, that's a big thing, right? That's like if they go rogue, the world's in shit. If super soldiers go rogue, is it really that fucking big a deal? I mean, like
not just super soldiers, untrained super soldiers.
Right, exactly.
It's not like it's the super soldiers from Civil War that were trained assassins that could like speak 70 different languages. They're trained in martial arts or whatever. This is just people off the streets, and we're supposed to be so afraid of them. Dude, like to piggyback off of your piggyback, the villain was atrocious. I will get into that. But Geek Speak. I'll give Geek Speak a second. When he comes back, I want to hear Geek Speak's thoughts. But dude, Carly Morgenthau was so boring. As Superwise says here, the writing for was quite good, but I think the acting made the character boring.
Yeah.
I don't think her writing was great either, because she was just like, she just kept complaining every time she opened her mouth. I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, when are we going to get to be citizens of this goddamn planet? And woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. Like, dude, you don't have the worst problems in the world, Carly. Like, and she was so unthreatening when she was calling Sam's sister to threaten her. I didn't care about her at all. She was so annoying every time she opened her mouth. And like, her accent, I know that's just how she speaks, but her fucking voice was so annoying. I'm sorry to the actress. She might be a good actress, but her character was not well thought out, not well handled, not well acted. And every single time it cut back to her in every episode, I would sit back and roll my eyes like, fuck, here we go again. Let's get back to John Walker. Let's get back to Zemo. I don't want to see the Flag Smashers. They're a poor man's Hydra. Now it's one world, one people. Like, now they're the new Hydra. Like, that's what people whisper into each other's ears. I don't believe it. Geek Speak. What are your initial thoughts on the whole series, man? What'd you think?
I'm kind of in agreements with both you and the film. I did like the action. I did like some of the character depth. However, the villain was completely underwhelming, and the themes that they tried to build up in the beginning episodes, I don't feel like they really paid off in the way that they intended to, at least not to me. So it just kind of came out as just a little bit disappointing. Carly was a complete waste, and comparing the Flag Smashers to Hydra, I didn't even think about it like that, but that's a good comparison. That's what I got. But the Flag Smashers are all gone, I think. So, we'll see what happens with that. I just didn't really. I'm starting to see a theme. I think the future Disney Plus TV shows are going to be like this. Loki might be underwhelming from the beginning, but Hawkeye and She-Hulk and all the other shows they got coming up, they're not. I just don't got a good feeling about them. After these two shows that we've had on Disney Plus so far. So yeah.
Okay, and I know we're all thinking about it. Let's address the most talked about scene in this past episode. Let's address Captain America patronizing the audience. You know, I like some of the things that Sam was saying to the senator. I think that I agree with a lot of his messaging of we have to change the power dynamic. You have to be sympathetic with people. I like some of the things he was saying, but I don't want to be preached to by the superheroes that I'm watching. Like Steve, Tony, Natasha, Bruce, Hawkeye, none of them ever preached to the audience. If they gave a speech, it was just a rousing speech to get you hyped up. So we're going to fucking kill these aliens. I know this is a little more nuanced. It's about race. It's about America, racism in America, power. What can we do to be better? But it just, the whole episode just stopped, and he just started preaching and preaching to the senator, really to the audience. We got to do better. Hey, you got to do better. Hey, you got to do better. You fucking Sam, how about you do better, huh? Why are you Captain America? You do better, bro.
Yeah,
And
they really tried to get political.
It went on for so long. I was like you. I was sold in the first, like, if he had stopped after like the first two things he said, fine. It was just like, and one thing that really bothers me about the character, because of Sam, is he's really changed in like it's such a sharp turn from the character we knew before. This is the guy who always used to bust jokes, make loads of humorous kind of comments during, he used to make loads of humorous comments during fights. I believe he's killed people before in the MCU, if I'm not correct, right? He killed people in Civil War? Right, yeah, like in Civil War in the Nigeria scene, right?
He definitely blew up some people with some missiles.
Right. When did he start not killing people? It's like I would have thought, like, just from a character point of view, forget about like the political messaging of what he's saying. It would have been much better if he had have actually said it in a humorous way that fits his character. Stop trying to be the other Captain America. Be your own Captain America. Do you know what I mean? Don't just suddenly flip and all of a sudden he's acting, like this noble preacher guy, or like Steve. Essentially, he's trying to act like a slightly modified or woke version of Steve. And I don't use the term.
That's something that I never really thought about. That was something I never thought about. That he is kind of like I get that he's kind of changing everything he's been through. He's kind of becoming more serious, but you're right. He doesn't really feel like the same person anymore. He feels like, hey, I'm trying to start something new. I'm trying to start something new here, and be a different Captain America. But then he's also trying to be the other Captain America. But the other Captain America wouldn't preach to people. We'll get into it. Let me add JG here. JG Shallon, terrific. What's up, man?
What's up, dude? How you doing?
What's up, man?
I'm bro. What's going on?
Yeah, long morning, man. Tired.
So hey, man. Hey, do you have the stream playing on your computer?
No.
I hear an echo from you.
Let me get out and come back in and see if that helps.
All right, man. Multiple technical issues today, but guys, we will not stop. We will review this damn show. But what were we talking about?
Yes, Sam's character's change. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Filmalitis, what's up? What do you think about Sam not really being Sam anymore?
That's been my whole point the entire time, dude. I've literally been trying to get that across. I think I may have gotten a little too focused on the political part of it last time. What I realized after watching this episode was I don't have a problem with the ideas and the themes that they're trying to touch on in this show. I have a problem with the execution, because what it does is it reduces, in my opinion, Sam Wilson down to his race. It doesn't exemplify the best parts of him that we saw in Civil War and the Winter Soldier and movies like that, where he was by Cap's side. He was a good, virtuous man who had a good heart. He reminded you of Steve. Steve given the serum because of who he was on the inside, not the color of his skin or any kind of political messaging. This show hyper focuses on Sam's race and his mission in a way that completely contradicts everything that we've known about him before. It's like he's got this whole arc where it's all about slavery. It's all about the sins of the forefathers, and it's all about making things right and standing up against the oppressive and the bullies. And that's never been what Sam was about before. And I don't have a problem with you going there, but the moment he starts giving that speech, the messaging in that speech, I found it to be some of the most radically bullshit political stuff I've ever heard in any superhero show or movie. To me, it was very radical. That's what I had a problem with.
Do you mean the actual
Yes,
message?
I mean parts of the message. Of course, not the part where he's saying, "Hey, be nicer to black people." Who has a problem with that? I don't think that's something that anybody has an issue with. But there is subtext in that speech, and I listened to it multiple times, and I wrote down quotes. It's very creepy to me. I don't like it, and I'll explain why more after you guys can jump in and talk about what you want to talk about.
Geek speak.
Please.
What?
Go.
Wait. Actually, let's jump to Shaolin. Hey, Shaolin, you there?
Yeah, is it still echo?
There's
So-
an echo, bro.
There's
Let
still an
me change
echo.
mics. Let me change mics, see if that helps.
Okay, man. So yeah, Geek speak. What did you think about Falcon's speech, and what did you think about like the ending of the show as a whole?
So I definitely think the speech was a political thing, and to me, that's stupid. I don't want these TV shows to try to speak to me on what's going on in the real world or try to tell me what to do because of what's going on in the real world. These TV shows, these universes and stuff like that, to me, are supposed to be an escape from all the shit we have to deal with in reality. So when they do bring it into something like that, stuff like that, I get kind of irritated because I don't want to be reminded of what's going on in the world. I want to escape into this reality, into this universe, and it be enveloped in this. So to me, it was kind of dumb. There were some good things that he said that definitely I think some stuff that Cap would say. He's not just Sam anymore. He's also Cap, so he has to say stuff like that. To kind of go off what Matt or Film Leaders was saying, he I don't think he stopped being Sam. I think he's still Sam. I just think now that he's having to take on the role of Captain America, he's got to be a little bit different.
What are you laughing at?
I'll tell you later. I'll have to tell you later.
Oh my god!
The speech went on too long. Some of it's stupid. Yeah, I don't like it. Some of the stuff he was saying was kind of dumb. I don't like them bringing politics and stuff like that into it. I think they should have just kept it out. And I mean, yeah, that's really all I have to say. That the end of the show, I think, was good. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's something I've always kind of like disagreed with people about. I don't mind politics being explored in anything. I mean, I think an artist should be able to discuss whatever they want in a piece of art. Like I think sometimes politics can really enrich a film. I think of like things like The Dark Knight. There were some kind of political stuff going on in there. I think in Wonder Woman there was some political stuff going in there, and it didn't subtract from the movie, and it wasn't in any way presented in an offensive way. I think what the problem is when you bang people over the head with like certain political messaging, and I think specifically a really bad form of writing is when you get a character to say the exact thoughts of the author, right? You know what I mean? When you see that in a show, it comes across as artificial, especially if it doesn't necessarily suit the character. I would have thought that Sam would have approached everything he was saying with a much more humor than earnestness. So when he was saying this speech, it just seemed like this is just the thoughts of the writer. The writer wanted to say this about the world, and he wanted to get it in some kind of artificial way. And that's when I think, like the political messaging is bad in these movies. But it's the same thing with Captain Marvel has a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm reminded of like the Captain Marvel scene where the little girl is telling her mum to go on some dangerous mission that she can be killed on. She says, how will I be proud of you if you don't do this? And it's like, no child would say that to their mum.
Captain Marvel is a terrible movie. Captain Marvel is a terrible movie. I will tell you this. The first Wonder Woman movie is better than Captain Marvel.
Oh, hands down. Film elitist.
But it's all about execution, right?
Film elitist, you sound like you hate this show. Where would you rank it in all the TV shows, all the movies? What is this better than in the MCU?
Okay, if we're talking about canonical, like the canon,
yes,
I'm pretty. The only show that might be worse is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And movies,
No, wait,
I would only say The Dark World and. Is that canon? Is that the MCU canon?
I don't know if it's canon anymore now.
What is it?
At one point, it was The Inhumans.
I'm saying of the canon,
That's
canon
not
of the main MCU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
and canon.
Thor the Dark.
That shit can be shot out of a cannon. No, I'm talking about just the movies.
Okay. Then Thor the Dark World and Iron Man 3, and that's not saying much for me.
What about Captain Marvel?
I know some people like Captain Marvel too. Yeah, I know some people like Iron Man 3, but yeah, Captain Marvel is probably what this reminds me the most of, and that's kind of sad.
I gotta reply to Nerdman.
I just want to say real quick to piggyback off what these guys are saying real quick, and then we'll jump to JG Shaolin here. Yeah. What I really didn't like about that speech, because I agree with the Nerdman, it's okay to get political. Iron Man did it, The Dark Knight did it, but it has to be executed right. Otherwise, you risk looking extra dumb because you're shooting for the stars and you're failing on two levels. I don't set the foundation right with my writing so that the characters are believable and that the story works, and I miss on the political messaging. And I think this show does both things. I think the moment that it crossed over into a territory where it genuinely pissed me off was when he said the thing about terrorists and thugs. We need to watch. What's that?
Oh, I thought it was going to be the blonde-haired, blue-eyed comic.
Oh, I have that written down too. But I'm not offended. I'm not offended. I'm not offended as a white person by Sam being Captain America. I like that Sam is Captain America. I like that Shang-Chi is getting made. What I have a problem with is when the political messaging of the writer is saying we need to be careful about using the word terrorist anymore. Last time I checked, Black Panther didn't have a problem telling Killmonger he was a terrorist, that he was risking becoming the thing that he hated if he continued being radical. But now we're saying, hey, it's okay to be radical when we agree with your political views. Carly Morgenthau is for racial equality and a one-world utopia, so we won't call her a terrorist. And I'm Sam, Captain America.
She was a terrorist. That's why that makes me mad.
Right, and it makes me mad that Sam, Captain America, is using the platform of I'm shielding myself by using these racial tones, these political tones in the show so people can't criticize it, to get across this message that little kids look up to that, hey, you're not a terrorist if we agree with you. That's a fucking horrible message. The optics of that are awful. I don't care what political side you're on. If you're radical and you're terrorist, you're radical and you're a terrorist. Violence is not the answer. Okay? And I really had a problem with that messaging. And I also had a problem with the part where he said, every time I pick this thing up, and I quote, I know millions of people are going to hate me for it. You don't know millions of people are going to hate you for it. Literally, the scene before, you contextualize for us that a group of diverse people, some of them Chinese, some of them white, some of them Latino, some of them black, every one of them were cheering for you as Captain America. But you're just making this wide blanket statement about a portion of the country so that you can get that out there that, hey, there are millions of white supremacists out there and we got to make sure to put that in the show. It's like, set it up properly. You know what I mean? Why didn't he say something like that after the cop thing 3-4 episodes ago? They go out of their way. And why are these senators sitting in the middle of the street? I mean, there was an actual terrorist attack in this country a few months ago, right? I didn't see any of our senators standing around in the street trying to wait for the chaos to get over. They were throwing on gas masks and running for their lives because that's what happens when terrorists are attacking. This show sucks. Everything about it sucks.
They're there so that they can get preached to by Sam. Come on.
It is dumb writing.
I want to break down what he said, but we should hear from JG Charlin.
Yes.
He
JG,
likes
you there?
Okay. Do you still hear the echo now?
JG, you sound perfect. So we've all
Thank
given
goodness. Okay.
Yes,
We'll
we've
get
all
three
given our
different
overall
mics.
thoughts about the show. So for a couple minutes, go off what you loved, what you didn't like. What were your overall thoughts about Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
And also, can I ask just one thing from him? Because you said that you thought it was powerful and emotional, and I'd really like to hear from you what parts you found so powerful and emotional, and why. Considering get the other side of it, because.
Okay, cool. Well, first I'm gonna piggyback off Familidis when he said, "Why were the sinners in the street?" I was thinking the same thing. You got guys fighting and doing all crap, and people are just filming it like they seen it all. I mean, yeah, that was kind of stupid. But as far as the show, I was pleased with the show. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a whole lot better than that WandaVision. I'll say that. I was okay with it. I think it being 6 episodes may have kind of messed it up a little bit, because you only have 6 episodes to do Sam's story, to go through the Winter Soldier story, right? You got John Walker's story, then you got the flags, whatever you call them. You have their story you're trying to tell. So 6 episodes is very difficult to do all that and it be cohesive and make sense. So that may have kind of crippled it a little bit, but as a whole, I enjoyed it. As far as Sam's speech, I did think it was a loaded speech. There was a lot in it, but like when we spoke about the show before, it spoke to me so much because of my experiences, right? You see Captain America, right? The original Captain America, Steve Rogers, blonde hair, blue eyed, right? You see John Walker, blonde hair, blue eyed. Then you got Sam, dark skin, all the stereotypical black man, right? And you see what's going on in the world and politics. And the MCU is set in the real world, so you kind of have to get political. You kind of have to put real world things in it. I know it's not, a lot of people don't like that, but I mean, you have to do it in some way, shape, or form. It was powerful to me because, and I've said before, I know some people have disagreed, but when I said, we go back to Isaiah Bradley, who fought for a country that hated him, right? You see his speech to Sam, where Sam is like, you know what? There's a lot of truth in that, but I see beyond that. I see a future where we can be accepted. You may still have to fight for acceptance, but it's a possibility. And so he's putting on a suit. He has the shield. He's carrying on that mantle of I am Captain America, whether you like it or not, right? And you see that, and he made that speech about, I know this is a portion of America who's not going to like the fact that a black man is wearing these colors. A black man is well, how can I put it? Is that stature of excellence that represents America, right? Because we want to make up 13% of the population. Who in the right mind would say blacks are America? We help build America, but they're not going to say we're America. When you think of America, you usually think of blonde hair, blue eye, right? A white person. It's just how it is.
Or
Us
brown
as
hair.
Individuals, yeah, brown hair, right? Us as individuals may think differently, but like I mentioned in previous streams, that power structure is what matters. That power structure that Sam was speaking to is what's key. Because he said, hey, you can make changes with the email. Through a text, you can make a change, right? Why aren't you making these changes? It is so simple. He was speaking towards that. It was very powerful. And I'm gonna go back and I kind of
Can I go on, please?
Okay, I was just going to ask you. I don't have a problem with what he said about the power structures, but would you kind of agree with me that he was making the argument that it was kind of colonialist? Like he was alluding to, hey, these power structures specifically hold down minorities. Because that's kind of the problem I had with it, is that there's so much economic hardship in America right now. There's so many homeless, mentally ill people. I don't see why we need to distinguish. I get what he's saying about I'm Captain America and that part of it being black is hard and that it's going to be different. And people are going to have their opinions. But when he was talking about those power structures, that's the part that it got kind of weird for me because he was really – it still seemed like he was saying, like, only minorities are affected by this and you guys need to do better. And politics is the solution. That's what I didn't like about it. Do you kind of see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I would agree and disagree in a way, respectfully. I'm going to quote a line Sidney Poitier said in The Heat of the Night, the original film, where he was talking to a lady. He said, hey, it's two types of time served in prison, right? There's white people's time and colored people's time, and nothing's worse than a colored person's time in prison, right? And to you, it's like, well, they're both in prison. What does it matter? It's just we see things through a different scope, right? And it's no fault of yours, no fault of mine. It's our experiences make up that vision that we see. And to Sam,
sure,
when you see him going the bank situation, I know people don't want to talk about it, but the bank situation, you see him being put over by the cops. And had he not been Falcon, telling what would have happened to him, right? You see the story he's told from Isaiah Bradley's perspective. And all that is just registering in his mind to the point where it's like, you know what? I can change this. With action, we can make change, right? And I'm gonna ask you this: what revolution was won without violence?
I wanna.
Let me, Nerdman. Let me jump on this real quick.
Yeah,
because I forgot to address this the last time we streamed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my problem is with that bank scene was the fact that could have been any Avenger, and they still wouldn't have given him the loan because they don't have, what's it called? They don't have a, what's the fucking word? They don't have an income. That scene wasn't inherently. His sister was the one who made it a black thing. The guy literally was like, "You're Falcon. I wish I could do more for you, but I can't because you don't have an income." Like that scene, they're pulling race where there shouldn't have been any. Like his sister's the one who was like, well, they've been not caring about my history for however many years. They don't care about me. That scene would have happened to anybody. It would have happened to any Avenger.
I agree with that.
Hey, JG, I want to say. Sorry.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, real quick.
I was just gonna.
JG, you go.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think they were trying to show two different mindsets. I mean, I agree. The sister did make it about race, and Sam was like, "Look, we can get this. We can do this. I'm Falcon. I've done many. I've fought for America. I've done. I mean, yeah, skin color shouldn't be a problem." And you see in minorities, you see that those different type of scopes that we see through, where one side might say, well, because of my skin, I have a slimmer chance of getting this certain loan. Right? There are people will use numbers and statistics to back up that theory. Right? And then you have the other side that says, look, if you work hard, regardless of what color you are, you can get these things. And I think they were trying to display that. Do I think they probably use race a little too much? Possibly. But, see, the sister automatically made it by race and made herself a victim.
I didn't like Sam's sister, dude. Sam's
sister did annoy him.
Sam's sister was every single scene she was like, man, I fucking hate life, Sam. Fuck you, Sam. I fucking hate you. I fucking hate, like, dude, she was never in a good mood. Like, why was Bucky attracted to her? Get out of here.
Oh, there was one gripe I do have. Well, one of the gripes is at the very end, she did all this shit about the boat and all this, and at the end, she's like, we can't sail the boat. So you did all that shit. And at the very end, we can't sail the boat.
Yeah, she suddenly had a change of heart.
Oh my goodness.
His sister was not great. What's up, Fenrir? What's up, man? He says, what's up to everybody? Nerdman, what did you want? Nerdman, you go for a couple minutes, and then Phil Miletus, you jump off that.
Well, I wanted to unpack a lot of what Phil Miletus and JG said. I thought like both of them put forward very kind of like powerful presentations of like what they were saying. The thing about like I guess the thing about the show, right? Like where I kind of agree with Phil Miletus is like the politics of it, I guess it's like the way they kind of did it was the way in which it at times slipped in, especially in that last episode, to really disrespecting what Captain America stood for in a way. As I was saying to you on a previous thing, I think it's okay for the show to be to be maybe critical of the flag or America or what a black person's position is in America, right? And specifically on taking up the mantle of a kind of powerful role. So again, I think it would be unrealistic for us to just for Sam to just be like completely okay with becoming Captain America. I know as a black person that would be a tremendous, if somebody gave me the title like Captain Britain or whatever, that would be a tremendous weight on myself, and I would think about how people would see me, how people would look at me. So it's realistic to explore that. But what it's bad to do, it's like I think I said this to you for graphical picture before, is as if if Obama was coming into presidency and he wasn't thinking about when he was criticized or when he was thinking about the context of him being a black person or who's becoming the first black president, if he had a thought about that in the context of like disrespecting Abraham Lincoln, you don't disrespect like a former president who obviously was by all intents and purposes a very, very good and noble person, right? You don't like just because he was part of this institution like kind of criticize him. And I think towards the end, especially with the blonde hair, blue-eyed thing, I thought that kind of struck me as somewhat disrespectful again to Captain America, to put it so like straight on his door, like what this institution and how people might reflect on him being Captain America, kind of that has nothing to do with Steve, right? Like how people will see him be, as Captain America. So I thought that was disrespectful, but nonetheless, the speech again. I'll leave it there. In fact, sorry, I'll leave it there. If anyone wants to respond to that,
Film elitist, and then Geek Speak.
My entire problem with it is this, and I think JG Shaolin, I think Nerdman kind of sees where I'm coming from, but JG Shaolin, I think you might agree with this once I lay this out. What I have a problem with is when you address these types of no one's saying that you can't address that it's difficult for a black man to be in this country. It's a different lived experience, or how being Captain America as a black man would affect someone. All of those things are valid, and we should explore them. But let's take Black Panther for instance, right? Black Panther, he tells Killmonger, you risk becoming the thing that you hate. Even though you have a point, you risk becoming the thing you hate when you take this approach to it. When you take this extreme, radical, kind of terrorist approach, you're going to become a colonizer too. And that doesn't solve anything. So I'm going to open up Wakanda to the world and everyone's going to work together. That's a beautiful message of actual equality. What Sam was saying was, hey, don't use the word terrorist. Let's not put these people in a box, because I kind of agree with them. And even though I'm Captain America, you're the problem. The senators are the problem. The white people are the problem. The powerful institutions are a problem. And I get that they are a problem, but he wasn't bringing any nuance to the table. He wasn't saying, hey, we need to have a little more diversity and we need to all work together and we need to call out bad shit when we see it on both sides. He was saying, I kind of agree with Carly. I kind of agree with what she's saying, and it's all your fault that people like her exist, and we don't have to bear any responsibility for those people taking those extreme actions or call out extremists. We just have to let it run its course, and the world is going to turn out the way it turns out. And I have a problem with that, because at the end of the day, it's a very extreme view that they were putting out there, and it's very I'm just going to say
let me say something just to that, because I guess what it was actually saying was to me how I interpreted it was that terrorists aren't born in a vacuum. They are an interaction with power. So if you look at like the Middle East and how the kind of history that leads towards terrorism, a lot of that has to do with kind of American involvement in that region,
Sure.
and an interaction between what America has done there and other factors that leads to these terrorists being born. And on a more kind of like straight up just literal level, they've bombed places, 500,000 dead. This is a terrorist recruiter's dream, right? When you displace people and you leave them rootless and you leave them in violent, hostile situations, then the terrorist, any terrorist recruiter, that's their playground. Somewhere like Iraq, for instance, where as I said, I think it was 500,000 were killed in the last war. All those people who are, the families of the Iraqis who perished, they're going to be people that end up being recruited by terrorist organizations. So I think what he was talking about was we mustn't presenting people purely as monsters rather than trying to understand the human element that creates those people. I think is beneficial, and I think that's what I got from the message.
Nerdman.
Wait.
Nerdman, here's the problem with that.
Film elitist.
I have to say this. I have to say this.
Okay, then I'm going after you.
Yeah.
Okay, just real quick. I agree with you. Okay, you can explore that idea that terrorism is not born in a vacuum. Here's the problem with it. Black Panther says, even though it's not born in a vacuum and you have a point, you can't become the thing you hate. What Sam said was, it's your fault for using these words. She's not a terrorist, in my opinion. And we're not going to explore the other side. They're not interested at all in exploring the other side of how the KKK or white supremacy is born or anything like that. They're only trying to sympathize and empathize with a radical. It's like I'm just going to say it's like they're
film elitist. I would say I agree with that side as well. Turning people who are in the KKK into pure monsters, I don't think is necessarily a great way of dissolving that problem. I think when you look at films like I think what's the films like American History X, where you get to understand the problem on an intimate level and how that is created. I think that is a much more it's a better way of exploring that than I don't think. Yeah, again, I don't think you should turn any like real world villains into monsters, because usually they're not strictly. The Hitlers of the world are very rare, where they're just pure fucking evil. People, it's go on. Sorry.
So, yes, let me let me jump on that, and then I'll send it off to JG and Geek Speak. Like that line really rubbed me the wrong way when he said it's the way that Sam was like looking at him like you pitiful little soul. Let me preach to you how it should be. He was like, you got to stop calling him terrorist. No, what do you call a person who bombs a building and kills 3 people? That's a domestic terrorist. That's black and white. Period. I don't care how they got there. I don't care where they go from there. You murder people in your own country with a bomb, you are a terrorist. And Sam was simplifying it, saying, well, how did she get there? And it's funny that a lot of people, every time that you see a criminal and you try to sympathize with them, how did they get there? How did they get there? But why don't we do that with police officers? Why don't people ask, how did they get there? Why did they do what they do? Or other people? And he's acting like the people in power they were born in power and didn't earn it. And like, he's never, you know how it feels to have no power. Like, he's just assuming these people were born with spoons up their ass. And the fact that he was saying that, to piggyback off Film Elitist, he was like, oh, I see all the stares and all the judgment looking at me because I'm Black Captain America. But every single time in this episode and in the past couple episodes, somebody sees him on the street, or somebody sees him at the bank, or saving people, they cheer for him. The racism that he's claiming to be isn't even in the show except for Isaiah Bradley's character and that one police scene. So the thing that they're trying to preach to us, I don't even see it in the episode. And that quote, when that guy said, "It's Black Falcon," and then that guy said, "No, that's Captain America." That was terrible, terrible line. That was an atrocious line. It was. I did not like the speech, but we're too much on the speech. I'm gonna let JG and Geek Speak go.
One thing about that.
Let's let JG and Geek Speak give their last opinion on the speech and on this last episode. Then we're gonna get to some positives of the episode. JG,
yeah.
do you have any last thoughts about anything we've said?
Yeah. Man, it's a matter of seeing things from different scopes, right? The speech was a very loaded speech. I will say that. I think he kind of went back and forth with a lot of things, and it wasn't a cohesive speech. It was just like he was going off the top of his dome, just saying stuff, right? And there were things in it that hit me, right, and that I spoke about already. But I don't know, man. It's like, I'm gonna go to the KKK thing, right? Where I'm sorry, I got to do it because it was mentioned. They are the ideas of the KKK is very monstrous, right? To assume that, because you do have a group of those individuals that believe that, we just want to, it's something like we're trying to make sure I put it the right way okay. There are people in the KKK, from my beliefs, that don't necessarily believe in each and every monstrous idea of the foundations of the KKK, because you may have some that are like, hey, we love our white race and we just want to keep to ourselves, right? And then you have the other side that's, okay, we're gonna go bomb and we're gonna use whatever privilege or whatever power we have to put down every minority we see that can really do some damage to us as a race, right? So you have those two different sides, and because, like, you go back to police, what's going to the police officer now. You have those good cops, you have those bad ones, right? And you have the good cops who actually aren't causing any problems, aren't harassing anybody, but those bad cops can give those good cops a bad name, and because you are associated with the police department, you're automatically going to be considered either positive or negative, depending on what scope someone sees you in. And so, and we just look back at what happened at the Capitol, right? A minority of those people caused a whole lot of damage. And we would all say those were terrorists, right? And I can't sit here and say that, I'm bad with names, but whatever she wasn't a terrorist. She was willing to kill whoever she could to make sure her goal was reached. And she was a terrorist. Point blank period, she was a terrorist. So I don't agree with Sam when he was talking about, she's not a terrorist. It's the acts that happened prior to her becoming a terrorist is what caused her to do what she did. And it's just, I can't go blow up a building full of people for a goal of, hey, black power and all this stuff, and then say, well, the way I was raised and what happens what really did. No, you're not gonna go after who raised me. You're gonna go after me because I'm the one who did the crime. And it's just, like I said, it was so much in that speech. It was so much in that last little scene or whatever. It was very loaded. It wasn't cohesive. It was just too much. But there were some aspects of it that I love. Now, did get emotional with, especially the ending of it. I'm sure we'll talk about that later, but go ahead.
We're about to get into all the good stuff. I'm going to make Film Elitist admit some stuff that he liked about it. Geek Speak, what are your last thoughts about the speech and the whole episode?
Not to beat the dead horse, but when you look up terrorism, it's defined as intentional violence to achieve political aims. And it's usually used in the regard to primarily, it's usually referred to as violence. It's an unlawful use of force of violence against people or property or whatever to intimidate or coerce the government or its citizens to further certain political or social objectives. So down to a T, Carly Morgenthau is a terrorist. So I think the show completely messed up with just that one line of him trying to say, stop calling her a terrorist. She is a terrorist. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She was a terrorist, point blank. And it's going to be a moment in history now that the show's going to have to deal with that very line. They're going to have to, in my opinion, maybe retcon something or come out and say, I don't know. But you can't say something like that, and that's okay, because if I have a certain thing I want politically or whatever objective I have, if it is even slightly morally correct in any sort of sense, if you think that it's correct, if you think my objective is correct, then I can go blow up a building and kill some people, and it should be okay. I'm not a terrorist, but that's not how that works. It's not the world that we live in. That's terrorism. And to go back to the blonde hair, blue eye thing, since I didn't get to really comment on the way I wanted to, I think it's stupid because Cap wasn't chosen because he had blonde hair and blue eyes. He was chosen because his sergeant threw a grenade and he jumped on it to use his body as a shield to save people. That's why he was chosen as Captain America. He wanted to serve. He wanted to end the war. He was chosen because of that, not because he was white or because he had blue eyes. So when they say white hair, blue eyes, I think that's really disrespectful to him. And also when they say that white man with the shield, I feel like that's also very disrespectful. That's another thing that kind of makes the show go down in some points for me, because that just is flat out, disrespectful. And that very Steve Rogers gave Sam the shield and told him, he was going to be Cap, basically. So I honestly, in my heart, believe if he would have donned the shield and donned that new costume from the very beginning, I highly doubt there would have been a single person who had a problem with it. I mean, maybe there was a couple people. I don't know every person. There might have been a couple of people, but it wouldn't have been some overwhelming thing that this show tried to make it seem like a bunch of people were going to have a problem with it, because nobody would have a problem with him doing that. He saved the world multiple times. He saved America multiple times. There's no reason why somebody would have a problem with him donning the shield, the suit, and becoming Captain America. And yeah, you can't blow up a building and then not be called a terrorist. I'm sorry, you're a terrorist if you're doing stuff like that. And I mean, we could look at the bombing in New York, 9/11, the marathon. Like there's all kinds of things. Race doesn't make you a terrorist, but the actions are what makes you a terrorist. So I really think the show messed up. With that speech, they could have cut that speech down a lot, and it would have been fine. It wouldn't have been as bad.
I think what he was talking about is, from your definition of terrorism, do you believe in state terrorism, right? Like the state can be use violence in order to forward its own political motivations, right? And the impact on that on like individuals who get caught up in that violence is that they might turn to something like terrorism, right? To I don't know, because they're so angry at what the state has done to them. But I think that's what they were talking about. But as you said, it's not right to just go, well, that makes it then terrorism, because especially because it's just it happens to be something Sam agrees with. So I think you guys have a really valid point in terms of that. Just to explain, I think what the show's saying, I think the show's talking about state terrorism's impact on guys like
that. Can I just
say
one last thing?
Two types of terrorism. It's domestic and international. Those are the two different types of terrorism. So
yeah, I know, as defined, but like that's defined.
Okay.
Power.
Film what's your last
be international.
All right, this is the last thing I'm going to say, because I know we have to start saying some good stuff, and that's going to be hard. What it really comes down to is you run the risk of oversimplifying very complex themes. That's the problem I have with the show. I thought Black Panther did a beautiful job at showing every angle of it, and at the end you feel a unifying message. In this show, I don't feel a unifying message. I feel like I'm being preached to. That it's all about senators doing a better job. It's all about more diversity in politics. That politics are the solution, and explaining people to check their privilege is the solution to everything. And we're only going to explore how terrorists are created not in a vacuum when it comes to one ideology. And everything they did was simplistic. They simplified Sam's character using race. They simplified the world and the frustrations that people feel by only examining one side of it. They simplified politics by him giving that speech. Everything about it was oversimplified bad writing. And at the same time that all this is happening, they're botching these story arcs like Sharon Carter is the power broker just so that it subverts your expectations. It reminded me of Game of Thrones. And then she just goes off and we never see her again. Julia Louis-Dreyfus shows up just to give John Walker a black suit. Like, it's really poorly executed is the problem. And it had a very radical message, in my opinion. Isaiah Bradley, that part was beautiful because it was executed properly. I almost cried, and I hated the show when I saw him get that statue. I didn't feel those same emotions with Sam giving that speech, and I think there's a reason for that. And that's what it ultimately comes down to is if you're going to do these messages, you better get nuanced with it. You better have a good point. You better examine all angles. Because if you don't, you're just preaching to people and you're virtue signaling. And that's what this show was. 6 episodes of virtue signaling to the American public during heightened race relations with everything going on in this country. And you know what? It's okay if you want to talk about it, but you better do it in a way that actually makes people think. Don't do it in a way that only presents an oversimplified worldview and beats people over the head and makes them feel like they're the fucking problem all the time. Because at the end of the day, it's way more complicated than that. The world is more complicated than that.
All right, look, I have 2 things to say, and then we're going to move on to a couple different aspects. It's kind of weird that Sam is like 35 years old, and now all of a sudden he's he's never experienced racism. He's never had these thoughts before until this moment. Like, why wasn't he compelled to tell this to General Ross all those years ago? And where in the fuck the GRC in New York is getting taken over by terrorists? Where the fuck is Rhodey at? Where's the Iron Patriot? Where's War Machine at? Like, was anybody else thinking that? Like, where's any of the other heroes?
Well, it's one of these comic book tropes, isn't it? But, like, superheroes, when it's one superhero story, they don't have other superheroes come in.
But he was, I accept that, but he was in the first episode, so it's like you gave a gateway for him to come back. My other thing I was going to say was, and let's just not get onto this, but just a simple yes or no to everybody. Did anybody else see a parallel between Black Lives Matter when John Walker said, "You didn't think Lamar's life mattered"?
Yeah. I do.
I thought that was pretty obvious that he was saying, like, because people said, like, you don't think that blank's life mattered, like, and that was another element that it was like,
I don't remember it.
I don't know.
I'd have to rewatch it to see what
he literally goes, "You didn't think Lamar's life mattered." I just thought that.
What did she say to him before that to make him say that?
She said, I didn't mean to kill Lamar. He wasn't, like, in the plan. And so he was like, "You didn't think his life mattered?" But,
she said that.
She says that, and then he says, "You don't think Lamar's life mattered," which is something that
I don't think it's a Black Lives Matter thing then, because that would be the wrong character to say that, wouldn't it?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I just thought that I saw that, and I was
because she's the one preaching all this stuff, and John Walker. I don't know.
Yeah. I am going to get to the comments, guys. There's a bunch of comments coming in. We're going to get to every single one that's juicy. But while I have some heartburn, to start off some good stuff, because this show isn't absolute garbage like the Film Elitist is saying. Let's see what he says about this. I think that John Walker's character was really compelling. The whole story about giving the shield to somebody, then them giving it up, and then the government choosing like this. That's something the government would do, to give the shield to this new guy and put him on Good Morning America, showing his 3 Medal of Honors, and then he does he doesn't know how to live under the weight of it, and him losing his mind. I thought that was really good. And the scene where they were fighting him in the warehouse, and they have to rip the shield from his arm and they're screaming at each other. I love that scene. You really see the desperation on Sam and Bucky's face. But then it's also like John Walker was just spiraling down into a hole of madness. And now that he's like making jokes with Bucky and they're patting each other on the back, I didn't love that, but I did love how John Walker, in the moment of let's get revenge or save these people, the actual John Walker from Afghanistan came out and saved those people, and the music swelled. I fucking love that moment. And I think Sam, I'm conflicted about there being a new Captain America, period. But I was thinking, you know what? Steve gave him the shield. Steve said it's okay for you to be Captain America. So guess what? I'm okay with it. And I got to admit, him throwing the shield with that suit, when he threw the shield out the window and then flew and caught it, I was digging it, man. I was all into it. I was into the episode a lot with him, John Walker, Bucky. I was really loving it until that speech happened. But I think that Bucky, I'll save Bucky for a second. But Nerdman, what did you love about the show?
Love? Wow.
What'd you like?
I'll be honest. I think they did for a little bit a good job of showing, because I don't believe I don't agree with Film Elitists that Sam was one-dimensional. I think there was the black aspect that was explored. It got a little heavy-handed towards the end, but they did a good job of showing his compassion and also his grit. The fact that he's not the strongest dog in the fight, but he'll always much like Steve Roger was like, I can keep going at this forever, or whatever the iconic line is from Captain America. So I kind of there you go. Yeah, so I kind of like that aspect of Sam. I wish he still kept with the humor though, because I did like him being a funny character as well. So that was something a little bit missing. What else did I like about the show? I like John Walker. Yeah, definitely John Walker was a highlight for me. I think they could have gone a really simplistic route with him. They could have made him like some Trumpian, kind of a symbol. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially with the themes of this show,
yeah,
they could have made it like much like, oh, he's the ultimate white, racist Captain America or something, like and no, he had a black friend. The reason that he went over the edge was because his black friend got killed. There was nuance there, and I really enjoyed his performance and his character. What else? There's not much else I like about this.
Something I've forgotten. And Nerdman,
I like the suit. I liked his new suit.
Something I forgot, and I wanted to mention it so you guys can kind of comment on it. I love the Isaiah Bradley ending. When he showed him that he had that statue and he got his due finally, and the acting in that scene was so good. When he was hugging him and he was shaking. He was so happy. I teared up and a tear came out of my eye, dude. That was an amazing moment. But I don't know if it was super earned. I don't know how earned the moment was. And it does make me wonder, like, why. I do think he should have got the statue. He should have got the recognition. But why did they put that horrible story of what they did to that black man in the Steve Rogers exhibit in the Smithsonian? Like, why didn't they put it somewhere else?
And also,
because they're connecting it with Steve Rogers in a way that it's like, why did it have to be in that part of the museum? It was just, now that is kind of going a little too far. Like, now you're connecting Steve to it. Like, here's all the cool shit Steve did, his motorcycle, the Howling Commandos. Here's the black guy that they screwed connected to Steve. I didn't love they were where saying, it was.
But also, they're saying he's part of Captain America's history and it was erased.
Yeah, but also,
but he's not.
I was going to say that did it strike you that character would actually be moved by that? I thought he seemed way too angry to even
Yeah,
be
because he's masking his sadness with being a grumpy old man. Like, I loved it. I thought that was an amazing moment. I cried. I'm not gonna lie. I loved it.
I didn't see that. Like, that was the only scene where he wasn't angry in the whole show. So I just didn't.
Well, he
buy,
wasn't.
like a
He wasn't
statue.
angry in the conversation before when he was like, "You ain't no Malcolm X, you ain't no Martin, but you good." Like,
Fucking horrible line.
and then Sam was like, "I know what I gotta do." But
That
to
was
get
so
back to the
because it's like none of these superheroes are Martin Luther King or whatever. It's just, please, like, don't connect that kind of shit, man. Like, I don't know. Anyway,
Film Elitist, did you find anything good about the show? John Walker, Bucky, Sam, Sharon,
Yeah.
Power Broker, Baron Zemo, anything, please.
I liked John Walker's story. I thought it was. I also liked Isaiah Bradley's arc, and I think that just to circle back a little bit, while backhanded complimenting it, to show that Isaiah Bradley's story almost made me cry and Sam's made me cringe, shows the failure of the writing staff, in my opinion. Because I can assure you that I
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
be
agree.
feeling anything for Isaiah Bradley if I didn't feel like there was an injustice done upon him. You know what I'm saying? But I did feel that. I felt like, okay, this happens. These are real things that happen in America, and he should have his statue in the Captain America Museum, because guess what? He was supposed to be the second Captain America, and the government is the reason he wasn't. He was a good person. He was a good soldier. He should have been the second Cap as far as anyone was concerned, but he wasn't because of racism, and that makes sense.
Film
Okay?
Elitist, what about the 28? What about the other people that they made super soldiers that died? Do they get statues in Steve Smithsonian venue?
They should get a memorial, yeah.
Okay.
And but what I'm saying at the end of the day is it's all about how we get there. It doesn't matter if you want to address complex themes; it's how you get there. And the writers didn't seem interested at all in bringing any of that capabilities for John Walker and Isaiah Bradley to the character of Sam or Bucky or Sharon or Zemo. You know, everybody gets reduced to race and gifts. You know, let's make
But
memes.
hey, Film Elitist, I gotta stop you. What did you like about the show other than Isaiah Bradley? There's got to be something.
Isaiah Bradley and John Walker. That's it. It was a shit show. I hated it.
You didn't. You didn't like the first episode when Sam was like dealing with what to do, like stepping into Steve's shoes, the acting of
No.
Anthony Mackie. You didn't like him and Bucky bonding over the shrimp boat?
No. It was all contrived CW level bullshit to me. I found most of the action scenes reminded me of the best.
Come on, it was better than CW.
Most of the action scenes reminded me of the Fast and Furious, and most of the intellectual complex themes they were chasing reminded me of some preachy Netflix or CW show that's poorly botching and handling race issues in America. I couldn't stand it. It's everything I stand against. It's an oversimplified Hollywood garbage production. It's everything I hate about Hollywood. So I like John Walker a lot. I would much rather watch a show with him or Isaiah Bradley. I'll watch a show about Isaiah Bradley in the nursing home before I watch any more shit about fucking Sam and Bucky after this bullshit. I can't stand it. Okay, and I just want to say one last thing is bad is bad, and you need to be able to criticize it. And I don't like it when shows build in these themes to shield themselves from criticism. Because at the end of the day, the Isaiah Bradley thing, awesome. And that should be talked about, and we should talk about race. But for someone to criticize it, and then a lot of people will turn around and say, well, we shielded ourselves by implanting these ideas, and if you criticize it, you're racist. Well, guess what? Michael Bay sucks, and when he makes Transformers 6 or 5 or whatever the fuck the last one was, I'm going to shit on it. I'm going to shit on it just as equally as I'm going to shit on this. And that's equality, baby. That's what we're aiming for, right? This show sucks.
Okay. Let Geek speak. Are you there?
Yep.
So what did you like about the show?
So I thought the action was really good. I liked a lot of the scenes. I liked when Falcon threw the shield through the window and then flew and caught it. I liked when he was chasing the helicopter, all the action stunts and stuff like that. I thought was really awesome to see. And I definitely like John Walker. I think he was good. I think he could have been better, but he was good. I did like him. I'm just saying, I honestly think he could have been even greater. I think the show would have been greater if they would have maybe showed us more of him having to deal with the weight of, trying to be the new Captain America, since he was chosen by the government officials or whatever. And I think it would have added a little bit more depth, maybe if we get to see more of his perspective as a soldier, not necessarily him in Afghanistan or whatever, but I wanted to see maybe more of him, we needed to see more of a difference between him being a war hero and going on these tours and him as a soldier, to see why he was chosen, how he is as a person. They should have showed us, who is John Walker, more personality and stuff from him. And then, give us the weight of him trying to be Captain America and how do you be Captain America and just all of the stuff that they did start to add in finally. I think it would have made the story more compelling. I think it would have made his fall from grace when he killed that flag smasher greater, or whenever he chose to fight Bucky and Sam over the shield. That would have been it was a great fight. That's probably one of my favorite scenes of the whole show, was that fight between those three for the shield. But it would have been I think it could have been even greater, if we would have had that more story added in before. And then the same thing after with him choosing to save people or get Carly, that could have made that even better. But he was still one of my favorite parts of the show. I think Isaiah was probably the best character by far. I think his execution of his character and him acting and the emotion you saw on his face anytime he talked about his wife or what happened to him in prison or the stuff that happened to his men, like it was very moving anytime he was on screen because of the emotion he showed in his face and when he acted and the execution of that character. And they executed his character, I think, very well. So I didn't cry, but I was very emotional when he did get that statue. Now, all the stuff that they say in the show and set up, I think it kind of takes away from that moment because, like Pickle was saying, it's in a Captain America museum. Why not give him his own section of, the museum? Don't put it in there with Captain America because it's like more deriving off of that still. I think he should get his own section as a museum of as a member of history or something, but not necessarily like in the same thing with Captain America. Give him his own, little spotlight. But those are definitely my favorite things about the show. I didn't like Sharon. Zemo was all right. Bucky and Sam were good.
How could they do that to Sharon though? Because
I did like the emotions and stuff like that.
No, I was just sorry.
So I think they definitely treated her. What do you mean?
Go on.
With Sharon?
No, I was going to say it was kind of disrespectful to Peggy that Sharon is now like this power, this bad guy. I thought it was a little bit disrespectful.
Well, let's hear from JG, and then we'll talk. We'll open it back up.
Okay.
JG, what did you love about this show?
I love the fact that the show. Well, first I'm saying I was. Well.
Continue, JG.
Okay. I was pleasantly surprised by the CG in the show. It was actually done pretty well based on the budget that they had. They did a good job with that. I like the fact that we kind of delve more into Sam as a man, his relationship with his family. I love how you saw that kind of conflict with him not accepting the role of being Captain America, the hardships of filling the shoes of Steve Rogers, who was a extremely hard act to follow. I kind of liked how you saw that dynamic between him and Carly when he was trying to talk her down, and that it was starting to get a little effective. And they kind of had that kind of emotional connection right there. I was cool with that. John Walker was probably one of the best highlights of the show. I just loved him. I mean, he was kind of like, he went from a hero to an anti-hero in a way, and then back to hero again later on, where, like a philosophical mention, like, he has that shield and they're breaking it, they're pushing him back, and he finds that will within himself to push right back at him, right? You saw that soldier spirit within him come out and save the day, right? Let's see. I loved Isaiah Bradley. I love the aspect of him being a former Captain America, I love the story he told about why he had this kind of negative outlook on America and the role of Captain America. I was cool with that. Um, let's see. Sam's speech. I loved it, but then there was parts of it I didn't like about it. But hey, it is what it is. I don't want to go into that anymore. We talked enough about that. And the very end was probably the most emotional scene in the whole series, right? Where you see a man, Isaiah Bradley, finally be vindicated in some way, shape, or form with his own statue, and that people now know what he contributed to America as a soldier. I agree that he should have had his own exhibit for himself, but hey, you only had 6 episodes. I mean, they did what they can do. Other than that, man, as a whole, it was
good with 6 episodes.
Yeah, and I think those 6 episodes crippled it. But yeah, as a whole, it was a good show. I will probably rank it if the shows and the movies combined, maybe just 5 or 6, maybe.
Would you watch it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Would you watch it again?
I'm not a big MCU guy, so I mean, I might be a little different.
So, would you watch it again, JG?
Some episodes, yeah. From beginning to end, hell no. I don't think I can see through all that from beginning to end.
I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't.
So, I definitely trying to think of some other stuff that I really liked.
There's some stuff in there I just can't think of.
Nobody is mentioning Bucky because you know what? I will say I loved how they set up Bucky's whole character in the beginning. Like that was very him going to the therapist, having nightmares. I love that. But
yeah, I love his redemption story. That was pretty cool.
But like his last scene with the old man who he killed his son, that scene didn't work because we didn't actually get vindication or anything. Like Sam told him, "Hey, you got to go make people feel better. Don't just make yourself feel better." Okay, so we're building up to this emotional scene. He's going to tell this man, finally, I killed your son. He's going to have this moment. He tells him, and then the man just goes, why? And then he goes, because I had to. And then it cuts away. Like, where's the emotional impact? Where's the tears? I was thinking of a scene in Spider-Man 2 when Peter tells Aunt May that he was the one who let Uncle Ben die. And you see her reaction of taking her hand away from him. And she's shocked. And you see the ramification of the aftermath of him telling her. She can't even look at him. Like, we didn't get that. He just says it, and then it cuts away. And it wasn't the emotional ending for Bucky that they were setting up. And that was super disappointing. I was expecting the man to, like, I don't know, get in his ass or something for killing his son.
And
but
you
it just
know
cuts
why?
away. Because they're bad writers?
Because they're bad writers who had to force other shit into there that lasted way too long, so we can't be bothered with the details of Bucky's story arc.
One of the things, like, did you guys notice, like, the power scaling was very, very weird? I mean, how did
okay, let's get into this.
How did Falcon lift that truck at the end? Like, that was really bizarre for me. I was just like, wait a second.
I think those boosters on his wings helped kind of propel him to push forward. It was kind of weird, but
he put 2 red wings on each side, and then he had his jetpack pushing. But I was thinking that's not how physics work. If you go put your hands on a wall and your jetpack propels, it's gonna break his arms. It's not gonna push the Jeep up.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I was.
I was saying I was hoping in that moment because John and Bucky were at the bottom. I was hoping that the truck would fall and they would catch it together. That would have been a great moment. But then Sam grabs it and they're all looking at him like, "Oh my god!" And multiple times, like, how did he take on Batroc the Leaper when Steve could barely do it? John Walker throws his shield at Baron Zemo's head point blank, and it just gives him a headache. The shield bounces off of Batroc the Leaper's forearms and doesn't hurt him. Like, there are multiple times where they just throw physics out the window to make it cool.
And it's like also in terms of, like, the established strength of Captain America. I mean, this guy, like, held helicopters and held Thanos' arm, you know, like, pretty strong according to them. And then, like, Bucky can't break a fucking door off off a, like the car or whatever.
They did put a special like magnet lock on there. I believe that they put some special thing on there that was. I believed it.
Fucking helicopter, dude. I mean,
let's talk about this with that helicopter. You have Steve Rogers grabbing the helicopter's landing thing, whatever it was, and the helicopter's going up. Would that shit break? Wouldn't that shit break of the force going up and him pulling it back down? I don't know, man.
I love that scene, and
I love the
fact
scene,
that you question the fact that you even question a scene with Steve in it. I ought to kick you out of here for questioning Steve.
I hate Captain America. I said it.
I'll tell you this: Batroc the Leaper, this regular guy that knows karate, bouncing off the Wakandan vibranium shield of Captain America with his elbows like a UFC fighter. Kiss my ass. This universe is rapidly encroaching on Fast and Furious territory. And let me tell you something. Fast and Furious is bad enough, okay? But when you add in virtue signaling, please. I mean, come on. Why would I be interested in this shit anymore, dude? Marvel is letting me down, and I've been a big fan for a long time. You better bring something new to the table. I'm sick of it. The physics don't make sense. He's doing calisthenics and jogging to get ready to become Captain America. That whole montage was ridiculous. I'm going to do a few push-ups and now I can throw the shield.
I actually like that.
It's absurd.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense.
I don't think Cap had a hard time fighting against Bartrock. I think Bartrock was just an exceptionally skilled fighter, and that's all that came down to. So when he said, "Are you more than just a shield?" He put the shield up. He literally knocks him out within like a minute or so, and kicking him in the face. So I don't think it was a problem. Falcon fighting Bartrock. I think that made sense to me. I think that was an equal fight. Bartrock Leaper.
He shouldn't be able to bounce the shield off his elbows.
Bartrock, motherfucker.
Whatever. That's how forgettable he is. But anyways, it is kind of stupid, like you said, him bouncing all over the place. But I mean, when you look at Marvel Comics, they have a character called Stiltman, so some stuff is just ridiculous. You have to expect some.
Yeah, but the problem with that is the fact that they're trying to ground this show and make it so realistic about the problems of Americans and all these deep themes, and then they have this crazy, wacky breaking of the physics, and that's why I don't think Zack Snyder movies work sometimes, because he tries to make it so dark and realistic, and then some crazy shit happens, and it doesn't really go together.
Well, Zack Snyder movies suck, so I mean that's a story for another.
Oh God, here we go.
Stream.
Blasphemy.
Zack Snyder's Justice League was better than Falcon Winter Soldier.
Well, listen, Marvel was never perfect. I mean, there's physics problems and power level problems, and that's going to happen when you open up an entire universe, right? But what they always succeeded in was they usually gave you a good story with good characters, with good arcs that you cared about, and they really spent the time to develop those characters. Now it seems like they're only concerned with printing money from Disney Plus subscriptions, and I'm bothered by it.
Sure.
Because the characters in the show that I wanted to care about, I don't give a shit. Isaiah Bradley and John Walker are the standouts, and guess what, baby? They're not getting any spin-off movies. Isaiah Bradley's going to be in the nursing home in a few years. You think we're going to see that show? No, we're going to see Cap 4 with Sam, and I don't give a shit.
I think John Walker will be in Captain America 4.
Great.
That's a private school.
Had to throw that in there.
You know what? I guess all I'm trying to.
I know what you're trying to say.
I'm just tired of the corporatization.
Hey, you know what you're trying to say?
I am a Trump fan. Yeah, I do support Trump.
That's the problem with these Disney Plus shows, is that they set up these characters. There's not really any payoff, and then we just never see them again. We probably won't see Sharon Carter ever again. If we do, it won't be in any kind of capacity. Same thing with John Walker or Isaiah. We'll see them again, but probably not in any kind of capacity that makes any sense or does any kind of more storytelling like it did in this one. And same thing with Sharon Carter. She probably won't be back. We can go back to WandaVision. That big villain. there's characters in WandaVision that probably won't come back as well. I'm not saying all of them, but there's a couple characters we'll see, but they're going to be like side characters with no real actual like story. They probably get a line or two, and then that's that.
Do you guys remember the Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yes, of course.
Unfortunately.
Okay, that's what this show reminds me of. It fails on every level, and it tries to world build on top of it. Like, let's make Sharon Carter let's juxtapose Sharon. Well, listen, I'm about to spell it out for you. Sharon Carter gets built as the power broker just to subvert our expectations, a la Arya Stark in Game of Thrones stabbing the Night King. It doesn't make sense. It's fucking stupid. And then guess what? What? You like that part?
Night King was good. I'm an
well, I didn't like
Continue.
But the point is, it's subverting your expectations just for the sake of it, because it actually makes sense in the story. Same thing with Sharon Carter. Then they don't explain why or where she's going. Okay, now she's off. We're world building. We're setting Sharon up. We're setting Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character up. We're setting John Walker up. We're setting all this shit up, but we didn't even pay off the foundations of the characters we were making the show about. I have a problem with that, man. That's really bad writing, and it needs to be called out. And this superpower that is Disney and Marvel, I think that they've got the most toxic fans out there. I used to think it was DC, but it's like they feel like they can't have any criticism, and I'm just over it. This show sucked. I didn't like it, and they need to be called out for the bad writing. And I definitely don't want the guy that wrote this writing Captain America 4.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't care if you want to get a.
I think he's directing it, and writing it. He's making it. He's gonna be like he's doing Captain America 4, which doesn't make me excited.
I have no problem with them getting a black writer to do it for a black Captain America, but not that black writer. That's what I'm saying, because that guy wrote that show, and that show sucked.
He also wrote
on Empire.
I think you're being a bit. It's not the worst thing in the MCU for me. Like, it's not even.
It's definitely not the Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's just going too far.
No, I'm not saying that thing. It reminds me of that in that it has these grand ambitions of world building without catering to the story, and I feel like that's where Marvel's going with all of their properties. It's just like, we have to continue spinning off a million things so we can have a million shows and a million universes, because money, and we don't care about making the story make sense or paying it off anymore, because we're just this mega conglomerate that sucks up every studio in our way, and we destroy the competition.
I definitely agree with you. It's really only about money. They'll make a TV show about whoever they can if they think it'll bring them more revenue. So,
hey, Film Elitist, didn't you just love the after credit scene, if you saw it, of Sharon Carter being set up as the universe's next Thanos? Didn't you love that?
What are you talking about?
The after credit scene of this show. I set through the whole after credits to see if there was an after credit scene, and there was. It's Sharon Carter being pardoned by the government, and then she has an evil look on her face, and she makes a call, and she looks into the camera. She's like, "Now we have weapons and armor and grenades and shit from the government. We're gonna fucking be on top." And she like fucking walks away with the. Dude, it was so like.
Did you see the rumor that? There's a rumor that she's actually a Skrull, like she's the first undercover Skrull, and it's building up towards that secret invasion show that they're doing. So
I saw that.
That would make sense.
Money. Because when you break down the line, she says something kind of weird, something along the lines of, now we have access to some of the Earth's most powerful weaponry. Why would she say the Earth or something along those lines? It doesn't really make sense. So that's definitely a believable rumor, but I still don't like the way that they treated her character.
Hey, super wise.
Found out after that boat party scene.
Hey, Superwise says, why didn't they let Marcus and McFeely return? And guess what? Let's just say it, because they're white. Genuinely, Captain Marvel directors, one had to be a woman. Like, they're getting to the point where they're not going to allow someone that isn't that race to write the character anymore. I think that's genuinely why.
Well,
I don't think. I think that's.
I wouldn't be that.
Go ahead, guys.
I think for the first one they're probably doing that, but I don't know if that's going to be a rule like from now on. We'll see. But oh man, I was something I wanted to say of what you were saying. But anyway, go on, the film elitist.
JG Shellen, did you have something to say?
I'm enjoying the rant. Go ahead, man.
Okay. No, I mean, I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with them looking for specific people to try to tell a story. It's just, I don't want Blade to be political. You know what I mean? So if you want to get a black writer to write Blade, totally get it, right? Because he's a black man, and maybe there's a nuance and there's a view from a black person writing that character that I couldn't bring to it, or a white writer couldn't bring to it. But if you're going into it with like Blade's got to be black and written by a black writer, but it's also got to be a political. That's where I get a problem with it. Like, are we going to draw the line anywhere? Like, is Blade going to be the Nazi hunter?
Well, I want you to do what you want.
Well, for me, I don't mind like Captain America being political, stuff like that, because he is a kind of political person, right? He represents America on a political scale, so I don't mind that. But you're right, when they go into Blade and shit, making it political, dude, come on, really? How can you make Blade political with vampires and shit walking around? It makes no sense.
He'll be Blade the Nazi hunter.
Wait, they made Captain Marvel. They made Captain Marvel have an agenda.
But that was the biggest feminist shit I've ever seen in my life.
Imagine if the vampires are. Sorry, I was saying, imagine if the vampires in Blade are like white supremacists. I'll find that fucking.
Oh no, they're going to be, and it'll be called Blade the Nazi hunter.
That would be hilarious.
Mark it down. Mark it down now. Mark it down now, guys.
Ku Klux Klan fucking vampires.
It's gonna be called Blade. But I mean, I would guarantee that they're gonna have some themes of like people don't just hate him because he's a vampire; they hate him also because of his skin color. Like, I think the vampire
he's a
is
black vampire. How dare you have a black vampire that can walk around in the daylight? How come the white ones can't walk around?
Vampires can only be white. That's not fair.
I'm just imagining how can Blade become political? I'd love to like just wrap my head around like thinking about that storyline of Blade
easy.
Being, like,
easy. You set up in the You set Blade up in the Jim Crow South. And you have him hunt down a group of Nazi vampires. He's Blade the Nazi hunter.
I think they would set him like in the 1800s probably.
Okay,
yeah, we have
he's
no
fighting
Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter kind of
shit
going on.
Anti-slavery Blade movie. That would be amazing.
And he looks
Abraham
directly at the
Lincoln
camera
vampire
and he
hunter
says,
did to make a Blade. There you go.
Come on, it would be worth it just for like. It would actually be worth it just for the humor of that. Like actually try to turn Blade into like some social,
Well, I think
hey,
guys, because go ahead.
But genuinely, JG Shellen, the question for you, like I'm being genuine. Do you like? Is it because this is something that I don't understand, because I have gotten an influx of white superheroes my whole life, and like genuinely, does it make you happy to see a black Captain America? Like, does that make you feel a certain way? If it was Bucky, would you not feel as good? Like, does it make you feel? I don't understand that whole representation thing, because I've gotten it my whole life. Like, and to you too. I don't think you care, Nerd Man, but JG, does that matter that he's black? Like, does that make you feel good and represented?
Not really. And I'll tell you why. Because it's happened in the comics. So it's fine. I don't care. It's happened in the comics. Now, the people that come around who may have a problem with it's kind of, I have a conflict with it, because I would love to see more minorities come out as heroes. And all the old comics, for the most part, have been predominantly white, right? And so it's the race bending that I have an issue with, the gender bending that I have more of an issue with. I'm happy to see Sam as Captain America. If it was Bucky, I'll be just as happy. It wouldn't matter to me, because we've seen it in comics if you are a comic book fan.
I'm JG. Like, just because it occurred to me the other day, because I've never really like contemplated it much, but it occurred to me the other day, like, have you ever heard a black person, or like, be like, oh yeah, I really wanna be, do you know what I really want to be or see a black Captain America. It's never, I don't think that's ever
Yeah.
been
I mean, as a
so
kid,
strange, as a concept, like the idea of Captain America inherently.
because when you think about it, like growing up,
what would be the appeal for black people to be like, yeah, I really want to be Captain America? It's just like it's kind of a weird, and it's the same with like Superman, or like certain other characters. It seems to me very strange that they think they're doing this for black people. There's lots of great black superheroes that I want to be explored, like Spawn, or whatever. But generally, I think
well, you said so many black superheroes I'd love to explore, like Spawn and whatever.
Oh well, there's a lot. I don't really.
I know. Sorry.
Yeah, like I would love to see an Icon film done. I think that would be dope.
I'll tell you what it is, JG. This is what I'm getting at. It's legacy characters. Black legacy characters really bother me. I'm just like, you have the white one who's the real one, and then you have the black legacy character. And I've never heard black people being like, yeah, we really want to, like, be like a different version of Captain America or Superman, or or whatever. I if
that's what you're saying.
The real character, then that's fine. But
well, you know what? It's
somebody
kind of
that's original, like
too,
Black Panther.
I mean, you think about
it's
it,
kind
like
of offensive too.
Also, you think about it, like
Gigi, sorry.
you're a kid growing up, or you go into these Comic-Con events and you're cosplaying and stuff. And they say, I want to go in as Captain America. I don't think like, hey, how's everybody gonna look at me being a black person who's Captain? I don't think about that. I think because I love the hero, right? And I think to the film leaders, what he was trying to go to, just my opinion, was why make it a black or white issue? If you love the character, you love the character. Why does it matter if they're black, brown, Asian, or whatever? It shouldn't matter. But because of that minority of toxic, nerdy, I'm talking about this is obnoxious, nerdy people. They are so loud and they are so demeaning and so rude. They give people a bad name who don't mind seeing, characters, regardless of whatever the color is. And
JG, that's the whole point. That's the reason that the show should have been about, maybe throwing some race themes, but the show should have been about, at its core, can I fill the shoes of Steve Rogers? Period. And they made it something else.
Well, hey, can I say something? Because I think they're touching on something that I'm trying to get at for a long time, and this is a beautiful moment we're having right here, guys. What it is that these group of people who are predominantly white, from the power structure that they claim to criticize, are the ones deciding to virtue signal to black people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fucking offensive as far as I'm concerned, because guess what? Blade's a badass. It has nothing to do with him being a black guy. He just happens to be a badass. And guess what? When you see him, you think that's somebody I can look up to. Black Panther, same thing. Saying, oh, we got to make Superman black and we got to make everything about hyper-focused on race. They're virtue signaling to people that don't even want it. Because if you ask the majority of American people, left, right, it doesn't matter. They don't want this shit. And that's why it comes off so contrived and it comes off so preachy. And that's why we're sick of it. No one's saying that you can't have black superheroes. It's 2021, bitches. We get it. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody does disagree with that, then they actually are a racist. And that person can fuck off as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to talk to somebody who thinks like that.
I would like to say to anybody out there, do not be afraid to have an opinion about this show. Like, seriously, there will be the toxic fans out there who will, if you criticize this show at all, you're a racist, you're a piece of shit, you don't get it, it's over your head, go back into your bubble. No. Don't be afraid. If you love the show, fucking shout it from the rooftops. If you hated the show like the film elitist, don't be afraid to say it. So many people are silenced for their opinion. Like, they don't even want to talk about it because if they have the wrong opinion, people will call them a racist or you just didn't get it. No, maybe you watched the show and you didn't like the themes, you didn't like the acting, you didn't like the fighting, you didn't like how they were pandering. Maybe that's what it is. So whatever you think about the show, fucking unadulterated, feel that way. I don't care if you loved it or hated it. It doesn't have to be race. It doesn't have to be about anything, but if you loved or hated the show, don't be afraid to feel any way about this show. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, I think I'm tired of this select group of people that claim to be, it's like they're absolving themselves from the issue. Like, we're going to represent these people and we're going to pander and we're going to virtue signal, even though they're the ones that are the people that they're criticizing. Like, do you think the people that run Disney aren't the rich, powerful, elite white people? It's so backhanded and contrived.
That's a fantastic point right
there. They're doing it to get to.
They don't hang out with black people. They're not out in the streets or the communities.
Well, I think that's a double-edged sword, though, because I think virtue signaling can kind of be used a little bit too much. It's used for everything these days. I mean,
they're doing it because they have to, because they feel pressured to, not because they genuinely want to.
No, but you don't know that. Like you can presume
that's the only thing. I mean, look at today's society.
Nerd man, we basically know that. I mean, we don't have factual evidence,
Are you telling me they're making a Miss Marvel TV show, the Muslim girl TV show? You're telling me that they're making that show because they are Muslim themselves, because they genuinely care, and that then no, they're doing it because it's culturally appropriate and because this is the times that we live in. It's going to bring them the kind of attention to say, hey, they're making a TV show for Muslims, and well, they're not racist. They're, that's all it is. It's because
they want to get the credit. They want to get the credit. They want to get the credit for being on the right side of social issues when they haven't been throughout all of history.
Exactly.
Because they're jumping on a moment, even though they will not do the work themselves. They're not going into the black communities.
But can I just say
110% from the latest.
All right, nerd man.
If you've been on the wrong side of history for however long, historically speaking, and Disney certainly has been, we know that factually. Does that mean that they shouldn't then do what they believe in now? Because effectively, what I mean. No,
I'm saying yes, they should have more diversity. The problem is you can see that their intentions aren't pure when and the way that they go about it is so contrived. The messaging is so contrived. You can tell they've never hung out in these communities and actually gotten to know these people. They're not doing the work. They just want to use their power structure to virtue signal to people. Maybe there are some aspects of it as like, let's correct the mistakes of the past, but it doesn't come off that way. It doesn't feel authentic because what we keep getting is, oh, let's make Black Superman and let's make Sam Wilson's character, let's reduce him down to the color of his skin. Isaiah Bradley, a movie like that, or Black Panther,
Yeah, no, but
from the latest, I agree.
Sam was not reduced to just to the color of his skin.
Can I ask a question, nerd man?
He had many different other characteristics outside of that, but for the most part, I do think the racial undertones, we've all agreed, we've talked about it, so were heavy-handed. They were certainly heavy-handed. But what I would say is that I just don't think it's right to just assume that the person who wrote it, for instance, doesn't believe in those ideas. That Disney is.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, but they're trying to make money. Obviously, they're a money-making organization, but they might actually believe in racial diversity or whatever it is at the moment, and that they might. There might be people, at least certain people, who genuinely believe in it. So I
might, but most of their corporation is run by these very powerful, rich white people. And if you think about it, how did these people get into their job in the first place? Do these people have any actual talent? Did they go to school? Did they know the right person? They're not doing what they're doing now because they care. You can assume that maybe there's a couple people there, but overall, these are power hungry, money hungry, rich white people who have been set up for this position by their friends and then their friends before them, and it's just something that's going to keep on continuing. They are doing this, like Film Elias was saying, and like I'm trying to say, is this just to come off as inclusive? They're doing it at the wrong time. They should have been doing this a long time ago if they honestly care. But
what should they do instead? Not be inclusive? I don't understand.
They should be. They should be inclusive.
They should give up.
They shouldn't be inclusive. They shouldn't do it so hard. And Film Elias was saying they're not putting the work in. They're too lazy. You can see it because they're getting certain people of color or sex or whatever to direct certain things if it lines up, like a woman directing Wonder Woman or a black person directing this black movie. Like they're doing it because they're too lazy to hang out with these people and get this stuff for themselves. Like go ahead.
Is a woman directing Wonder Woman virtue signaling? Because that's my thing. It's
no
extension of this word virtue signaling.
I think a woman should direct Wonder Woman. That's one of the.
I'm not saying a woman should.
She would understand it,
guys.
I'm just saying that's how it comes
I
off.
have the explanation.
So
what it
I.
is when you sit there, you can have all of those things, and you can make up for the wrongs of history. No one's disagreeing with that. More diversity is good, but when you sit there and you don't step down from your jobs and open up executive positions for people of color, then you're not doing the work. You're not giving up your own privilege. And then guess what? When you turn around and you thank China in the credits of Mulan for letting you use the sets where women and Muslims got massacred in genocide camps, you show me that you don't give a shit about human rights. So why are you preaching to me? If you can't do the work yourself, why are you preaching to me? That's what I'm saying, nerd man. It's not that we can't have black heroes or we can't talk about race. It's if you are not the thing that you claim to be, then don't virtue signal to me.
That's what I'm saying too. I'm not trying to say a woman can't direct Wonder Woman or that. I'm not trying to say there shouldn't be diversity. I'm just saying like what he's saying, pretty much. Like you can have these things, but it's not because they genuinely empathize with them. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What the point you brought up about Mulan was really a good point. It is. I mean, there's no they should be heavily criticized for that. Obviously, but again,
and that's why I know it's not authentic.
I just think people couch all of the. I think you can just criticize the product, the product, right? You can criticize each thing for what it is, rather than I don't know. It's like extending it into this language of like them virtue signaling. I don't know that. I don't know I think the show is bad, but the people who created it might have been very, very passionate about the ideas in the show. I just don't think you can assume they haven't. And going to about executives, I think they are trying to diversify their executives at the moment. They are. I guess doing
my only problem with it. My only problem with it, it's not the writers, it's not the directors, these people that deserve opportunities and they've been overlooked. If they want to talk about this stuff, that's totally fine with me. And I'm not saying that they don't care. I'm not saying the people that created the show don't care. I'm saying the executives have shown a history, even now, just a year ago with the Mulan thing and with where they're sitting in their ivory towers, of never putting themselves in the position to actually compromise their moral compass or their money to do the right thing. They only do the right thing when it makes them money. So that shows me that it is the exact definition of virtue signaling. I have no problem with the directors, the writers, even though I disagree with someone like Tanahashi Coates. I respect his right to say whatever he wants to say.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, everybody.
Why it triggered me a bit. It wasn't in relation to this show. It's just because I've been seeing a lot of things online. Sorry, just one thing. I've been seeing a lot of things online. For instance, Warner Brothers came out with a statement saying about, they were for the Derek Chauvin conviction or whatever. And they came out with a statement. Sure, it was just a statement, and obviously they're going to continue living their lives the same way. But nonetheless, everyone's going on about how it was like virtue signaling. And I'm like, really? Like them saying they were good with the conviction of this guy is virtue signaling? It's just, it seems it's extended to the point of being meaningless. I get what you're saying. Your specific, example of it was a good one, especially with the Mulan thing. But Like in general, I think that word gets extended to a point where it's like anything good or anything that's perceived as moral that a corporation does is virtue signaling nowadays. It's like
So
they
Sure.
can't win either way.
all right, so that was a good conversation, but I got to get to the comments. Like
Okay.
I don't throw around virtue signaling a lot, but
I've never
I
even
get what
heard that
everybody's
term.
saying. There might be more nuance to it, but I think the film elitists might be onto something here. And I just looked in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The final episode is now rotten on Rotten Tomatoes at 59%.
Oh, wow.
That's surprising. I thought people would eat it up.
What's wrong with what I said about the executives and stuff?
What? There's nothing wrong with what you said. What are you talking about? Everything you said was wrong, actually. So let me go back.
Anything either of you said was wrong. I was just being like trying to put a different view.
Just trying to bring some context.
Yeah.
All right, so Steve Rogers will always be the Cap, but Falcon is a good Cap. The suit is absolute perfection. Steve chose him, and Sam's writing isn't bad. I'm fine with him being Cap. Yeah, I'm still conflicted with anybody being Cap. It's just Steve is Cap. I don't like characters just changing. Even if it was Bucky, I wouldn't love it. Nobody is Steve. And Film Elitist, what do you think about Captain America's new suit?
I really don't like this suit, but I think it looks like that does remind me of the CW. But I do want to say, you probably wouldn't think this from my language about this show, but I actually think Sam is a great Cap. And I was totally happy when he chose him. I really like Sam as a character up until this point. And I don't hate him now or anything, but no, I think he's a great Captain America, and I don't have any problem with it. I mean, Steve is gone. Someone needs to do it. I mean, I don't think that they were like going out of their way to do anything like race baiting when he chose him. I think it made sense in the story, and I just want to make that clear because I like Sam as Cap.
Okay, but I know you're the only one who hates the suit. I think everyone else.
I really don't like it.
I think you're fucking on Mars because even though I don't love him as Cap, that's an amazing suit. It doesn't look cheap. I love the color of it. It changes the look a little bit. His goggles, dude, that's a fantastic suit.
It is, but it's just a little puffy on the top.
It does look a little.
It looks like a
cheap.
high school wrestling uniform.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
That's kind of
No way.
nice.
It's extreme.
It should be cool to see
You're
him lead
extreme.
the Avengers. Look, but like I don't see Sam as the person to lead anybody. That's why Steve was so good, is because he was like the leader. I don't see Iron Man or Doctor Strange looking up to Sam Wilson saying, "Call it, Cap." Like I don't see that. I see Doctor Strange or, well, unfortunately, Black Panther. I saw them being the leaders of the Avengers, not Sam Wilson.
Yeah, Black Panther was a good shout for a new leader if they were going to go down that route.
Captain America had a complicated history, which is bullshit. I completely agree. They are attributing complications, a complicated story to Steve that had nothing to do with Steve. I think Captain America's shield represents everything that is right about America. Angry old black man. Okay, here we go. Can we all agree that Sharon Carter, Power Broker, was awful? It was so unearned, so lazy. Her turn to villainy all happened off screen. I didn't believe it. Just there for shock value. I would agree. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Yeah.
I'll compare it to Daenerys going crazy in the season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like there was no build up for it. It made no sense. And it was. I'm hoping you're right about him being a scroll or something. Because if not, that's a huge L.
That makes a little bit more sense. That'd be like if Jon Snow at Game of Thrones just all of a sudden started killing everybody and just like he just completely turned away from his character, or Robb Stark, or just like you can't take these characters who are established and then just all of a sudden change them like that. Even if it's not a scroll, like her whole reasoning for changing that doesn't even really make a whole lot of sense. Like the government exiled her, like that's stupid. She helped Captain America. You can't have Captain America come back after the Accords, after Civil War, after Infinity War, and he's idolized as a hero again, not a war criminal, and then she's still excommunicated. Like that just doesn't make sense to me, honestly. I thought it was
her whole
stupid.
story is that after she stole the shield for Cap, now she's a criminal. but like you said, but this means that like when Cap and Sam and Black Widow, they had the secret Avengers off screen, like they were not working for the government. Cap took the star off his chest. Why didn't he go get Sharon? So now you're saying that Cap and Black Widow and everybody turned their back on her. It completely. It also disrespects Steve as if he wouldn't go recruit her for the team and say, "I got you." So everybody turned her back on her, and now she somehow went and built an enterprise in another country. I do not believe it at all, and I don't believe that she has that evil in her heart to even do that.
Even if she's a Skrull, and you raise a good point, because even if she's a Skrull, right, that's even bad writing, because now you've set up this motivation for her to turn evil, and then it's just going to be like, that motivation doesn't even matter anymore. She's just a Skrull. You know what I'm saying? So
None of it makes sense.
None of that makes sense. I just think the whole Sharon Carter thing, it's disrespectful to Peggy as well. I really.
Yeah. Complete waste of the character. And y'all hear that echo?
Yeah, it's Alan. You got some echo coming from you. All right.
I was just saying it's a complete waste of characters. It's Well, let's not beat this dead horse.
Yeah. When it was like, "You're the powder broker," I was like, okay, I don't care. Oh, let's talk about Baron Zemo.
Yeah.
I think that Baron Zemo, like, I completely forgot about him because he was so insignificant. I'm sorry, but he was so wasted in the show. I'm still hearing an echo from JG. All right, but like I think that he could have been taken completely out of Civil War, and that movie could have worked. But he was so compelling as a character, and Daniel Bruhl is a great actor as Zemo.
Yeah.
But now he's kind of like they in my trailer reaction, I predicted that he was going to be like teaming up with them, and that's exactly what happened. And he just teams up with them, gives them direction. Then he's like sitting around just drinking tea and making like quips with them. I didn't love it, and he like they built it up that he was going to wear this mask, and there was a reason for it. But he wears the mask for like 30 seconds, and then just takes it off. There's no reason for it. No reason for it. And Superwise, I know that you love. Wait, there's still an echo, JG.
I better.
Yeah. Superwise, I know that you love the Zemo dancing meme. I hated that. I did not that was so out of character. It was so Marvel of them to take this compelling character who had his family destroyed by the Avengers, and now he's dancing with Sam and Bucky. Didn't like that at all.
He was never
really stupid. There was one single thing that I liked about Zemo in this whole show. I mean, I like Zemo a lot. I want to see him lead a team of villains because he's smart and he's just a really cool villain. But the one thing about him I liked in this show was when he brought up the fact that has anybody been to the monument in Sokovia to pay their respects? You know, because all of that happened because of them. Has anybody gone there? You know, that's a great point, and I don't like, you know, that they haven't, as far as we know, that no one's been there to pay their respects. And all that stuff happened. All those people died because of them. So that was one thing I liked about Zemo, that he did bring that up, and I thought that was an interesting aspect. I wish we could explore that some more in the future.
Geek Speak, don't you realize all of the past heroes are pieces of shit? On to the new heroes, baby.
That's right.
I think the show went over your head, bro. You just didn't get it.
I'm thinking too little. I need to open my mind a little bit. I'm sorry. Anybody
else have any thoughts on Zemo being wasted?
Zemo, I mean, he was two different people. You know, you saw him in what was that? Civil War. He was one guy. Then we see him in here. He's like a joke almost. You know what I mean? It's like, what was your purpose? But in a mask,
I'm a joker, baby.
Oh yeah, man. It was just he was wasted. A wasted character. That's it.
Yeah, I think the reason none of us spoke about him, you know, is because it was just his appearance was meaningless. It meant nothing. I think they tried to turn him into some, I don't know, clever, like Hannibal Lecter-ish, like thing. and that didn't work. And then it just, I don't know. I've never, to be honest, you guys like him as a villain, and I've never liked him as a villain. I thought Civil War was a great movie, but it wasn't like because of him. I thought he was just incidental in the movie, to be honest.
His conviction is why he's a good villain. He's got this great conviction on why his whole motive is what makes him a good villain.
Yeah, but like, yeah, they completely. Phil Miletus, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello.
Do you have any thoughts about Zemo? And then, like, isn't Baron, like, when you become a Baron, isn't that a military rank? Like,
No, I think it's I think that's like like a monarchy type thing.
Oh, okay. How is he a Baron now?
It's a.
It's because his dad died. Now he's Baron Zemo because he was Helmet Zemo when his parents were dead in Civil War. Now it was just like, he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad at all. But I expected a lot more from fucking Baron Zemo, dude.
Daniel Bruhl is a great actor. He deserves better.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good.
Yeah,
he needs to be Dr. Doom.
Yeah,
But they wasted him on Baron Zemo.
As a Google
I think
Baron,
he was
it's like it's a lord, the lowest order of the British nobility.
Okay. Phil Miletus,
Yeah,
what do you
so
think about Zemo, real quick?
I mean, what can be said that hasn't already been said? He was just a complete waste. It was just there so he could create a meme for Marvel. So the fucking the TikTok kids can slobber over it, and fucking, he could be the sexy European guy, and we could say, look, we didn't forget about this guy. He's back, and then we put him back in prison, and he'll be back again, and then back in prison. Like, I'm over it,
Yeah.
If you're gonna bring him out, he didn't even put the mask on. Why tease that?
No, he put the
Why
mask on
tease
for
that?
30 seconds. He put the mask on
For 30 seconds.
He shot that pipe, blew some people up, and then he got down and took it off. I don't know whatever. So John Walker and the Thunderbolts are rumored for Cap 4. Abomination, Red Hulk, Taskmaster, Ghost, U.S. Agent Sharon Carter. That would be a crazy roster, but like that's way too much. Like that's an Avengers level threat. Like,
yeah,
I don't see Sam Wilson fighting anybody of note. Like if they reach around and rip his jetpack off, he's fucked. He's an average militaristic fighter. Like he doesn't have the serum. You take his wings away and he's fucked. Like, I don't know. Like, who's he gonna fight? I don't know. Definitely not all those people, not the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Sam Wilson's Cap trying to fight Abomination and Red Hulk is kind of laughable. I mean, most Marvel characters trying to fight those two guys is.
Yeah. So would have loved some real closure.
Like a cheat code. I mean, I don't get it.
Would have loved some real closure in that conversation with Bucky, like to see if that guy forgave him or didn't. Yeah, dude, yes. Did anybody else feel just a hollow feeling when that scene ended? Like, they completely dropped the ball on Bucky's whole character setup.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Snyder Cut when we see Lois and Martha talking. Then Martha walks out and he turns into fucking Martian Manhunter. That's how I felt with this. Like, it was cool. It was great. He was like, okay, he's finally going to tell him that maybe it's a redemption going on. Then he walks out. I'm like, what? What the fuck? What? That's how you do it? Do you not have enough budget to do an extra 5 minutes just to, they wasted a lot with this show. And I think those 6 episodes really crippled what we probably could have gotten.
Yeah. And
maybe should have gone on maybe 8 or 9 episodes. I don't know.
Never question Steve, guys. Never.
I just confirmed.
Beautiful. Steve was beautiful.
And dude, why does Steve look so feeble there, but Isaiah Bradley looked like he could still go toe to toe with anybody?
I mean, they look about the same age. I don't know. They just didn't think about it, I don't think. Just different filmmakers making inconsistent old people makeup.
I just confirmed old man Steve and Isaiah Bradley and a old man nursing home team up TV series coming to Disney Plus.
Really? Are we going to get to see them shit their pants?
Probably. We're going to see them change their diapers,
go
eat tapioca.
Okay.
They're gonna sit around They're gonna sit around watching protests and arguing about race.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
I'm just
Blade,
joking,
civil
guys.
rights
Jesus Christ.
bloodsucker.
I still want to see that Blade versus the Ku Klux Klan meeting.
I would love to see him kill KKK members.
I think your head will explode.
Matthew Lawrence says this show was Dookie Burgers.
Okay.
Well, that guy sounds like he's Dookie Burgers. He probably eats Dookie Burgers.
Let's see. I like everything until the last episode. Okay. Hopefully they do a better job on her than the Avengers game. I don't know who. Oh, Miss Marvel. I think you're talking about. I have no faith in the Miss Marvel show. I don't care about Kamala Khan.
Dude, it's a money grab. That's
I'm
all
not
it is.
watching it. I'm not. I refuse. I'm just not watching it. There's nothing about it that seems interesting to me. I'm not going to watch that show. I'll probably. Yeah. No.
I'm
The
not
only
watching.
cons.
I'm
The
not
only
watching
cons that I care about. The only cons I care about are Kotal Khan and Shao Kahn.
Hey,
Well,
by the
since you
way,
brought
guys,
up Mortal Kombat,
what MCU movie and what MCU TV shows are you actually excited about that you're going to watch? Because I don't. None of them. The What If one is the only one for me.
Um,
I could actually watch if I didn't have a YouTube channel.
let me think. I'm looking at the slate right now. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Hawkeye.
Moon Knight.
Just because. Okay,
Yeah,
so Moon Knight. Moon Knight is
Yeah,
number
Moon
one.
Knight. Yeah.
Moon Knight looks fucking dope. Oscar Isaac is a fantastic actor. Him and
Yeah.
Moon Knight with Ethan Hawke being the villain. That's like above Disney. Like Disney Plus isn't even good enough to have that. Like
Yeah.
that seems like head and shoulders above everything else. I agree, Moon Knight.
Actually, it's funny. Like this show reminded me how good Daredevil was. Like, why
Oh yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
so much
Daredevil
more-
is a borderline masterpiece comic book show. Season 1, half of season 2, and then season 3 is amazing, man.
exactly the same. I feel exactly the same.
Dude, once they put Elektra in, I completely checked out. Elektra sucked. That whole storyline was garbage.
Yeah. The Punisher versus Daredevil stuff was great, and then they just
Amazing.
fucked it up with
Oh, it was so good.
But season 3 was fucking fantastic, man. By the end of it, I was just feverishly waiting for the next episode, or not waiting, but wanting.
What does that say about
I
the
think you
show?
can make
What does that say about the show that it just makes you go at the end of it? You know what? That really makes me miss Daredevil.
Yeah, exactly. That was my exact thought. I was just watching this thinking they're so trying to.
That's how I feel watching any
sophisticated and-
Snyder movie. I think about the Dark Knight trilogy.
But you know what's even more embarrassing? What's even more embarrassing is Daredevil wasn't a full-on MCU production.
Yeah.
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 You know, they
Oh,
didn't
wow.
have the
Great.
budget. Yeah, but it didn't have the budget or the resources of this show, so it's like, this is what I get for $25 million an episode, please.
Dude, we gotta do a stream about Daredevil Sunday. In season 3, that one take where Kingpin takes over the prison that Matt Murdock is in, and he has to like work his way in that one shot. It's like a 7-minute one shot of him trying to escape the prison riot.
Yeah,
Fantastic filmmaking, dude.
that was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Team RSP
Or
said,
the
"Did
prison
you-"
scene with the Punisher, or a hallway
Well, that's
scene.
season
with
2,
Daredevil.
yeah. There's so many great moments.
I'm just talking about like all across the series.
Bullseye was amazing in that as well.
I like Bullseye, yeah.
Oh, dude, yes.
It seems like John Walker's kind of he was like trying to be like Bullseye. You know what I mean? Like kind of like being like like he's okay at first, but then he gets unhinged towards the end.
Yeah,
But I think Bullseye did it
I
a
can
little
see that.
better.
Yeah, it was way better. It actually makes me think of John Walker in a lesser light when you mention that. But yeah, I'll say this: the actor who played John Walker is just fantastic. I think he's Kirk Douglas's son.
He's
or-
Kurt Russell's son.
Russell, sorry.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, Wyatt
Yeah.
Russell. He was in the only thing he was in a movie called Overlord. It's like the zombie World War II movie. Anybody see
Oh.
Overlord?
I've never
No.
seen that.
He was
He's
in.
in that,
He was
he
in
was in-
22nd Jump Street.
22nd Jump Street. Those are the two movies that he's like really been in.
All right.
He's such a dweeb though. Like when he was saying some of his line deliveries, I was like, man, you're a fucking pipsqueak.
Yeah.
But the Team RSB
I think
says,
that's
did
kind
you
of why
see
it works,
Songbird?
right? Though?
What?
So that's kind of why it works, right? Because he's kind of like a preppy, coastal elite white guy that kind of like annoys you, but then you kind of start to sympathize for him, even though you're not supposed to.
No, yeah, but I'm saying like in the moments of his line delivery, I just don't think he did a great job. Even being a weasel, like his line delivery wasn't great sometimes.
I don't know.
But,
I thought he was pretty decent all the way through as an actor.
overall, he was good. Team RSB says, did you see Songbird? I thought it was amazing. Has
Dude,
anybody
that's
here
Pickle's
seen
favorite
Songbird?
movie.
I have not seen Songbird.
No, is he in it?
No.
Oh.
I heard that's your
KJ
favorite
Appa
movie.
from the guy from Riverdale is in it, and I just reviewed it. Team RSB.
You really like this comment, the Dookie Burger, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Team RSB. I'm so glad that you love the movie. I didn't. I thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. To be honest, I gave it a 0. I gave it. Hey, I have a review on. It was my last video. I did a review on it. It's one of the worst movies I've ever laid eyes on. It is a 0 out of 10, 0 merit. All it was pandering, and it was capitalizing on people's real world fear. I don't like the concept of it. I didn't like the acting. I thought every part of it was disgusting. I'm choking up talking about it. Disgusting and everything wrong with Hollywood.
You secretly love it.
But I'm glad you liked it. I'm choking.
Dude, if KJ Appa never acted again, Hollywood would be a slightly better place. If he just didn't exist, maybe the world would be a slightly better place.
What was it
On
about?
a Pringle.
Jesus. Are you all right?
Oh, I need Zack Snyder to save me.
Fucking Bush League out here.
All right.
Come on.
So,
Hell.
does anybody have anything else to say about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier while I'm choking? Please take up the time because I'm having a hard time here choking on some Pringles I ate earlier.
Well, I'll talk about some of the bad shit I could not stand.
Oh,
Number one is Sam's sister. She fucking annoyed me through the entire series. Her acting was horrible. She was negative through the whole entire time up until we see Bucky come along. And all of a sudden, she wants to start smiling and all that shit, right? And then after all that shit she was talking, we can't sail the boat. You can't sail. So you went through all that just to say you can't sail the boat. Okay, I'm done with you. Okay. What next? After the scene that I liked with Bucky and Sam getting harassed by the police officers, they go to an interrogation. They make a joke. We're having a staring contest. What the fuck? You just almost got manhandled by police officers, and now you want to go back to interrogation and have a staring contest? Made no fucking sense.
The
Carter,
staring contest was kind of stupid.
She was a waste. It didn't make any sense. Like I said, unless she's a scroll, then maybe make sense out of it. Other than that, pointless. Baron Zemo, he was useless in it. The whole mask thing he put on, that was just fan service. That's all it was, right? Then where the hell did he get the mask in the first damn place? That's another thing I never understood.
You know what I missed from the first couple of episodes? Actually?
Alfred gave it to him.
I have to say I did miss this about the first couple of episodes. Was the clear sexual tension between Sam and Bucky? I missed that.
Yeah.
There was a
that
real
brother love right there.
we were going to get like
Bromance.
more virtue signaling as film elitists likes to say, with our first gay couple for
They were kind of touchy-feely a lot.
Man, dude, in the 5th episode when they're working on the boat and that guitar's playing like that sweet soft jazz guitar, and Bucky's walking in slow motion, then he walks behind Sam and Sam looks at him, and there's no conversation, but you see it in their eyes. They want to fuck, and then he's like, "Can you help me tighten this, Bucky? Get a little more sweaty." And they start like working on the boat together. Dude, there was a ton of sexual tension in episode 5.
Oh shit! I must have
loved it.
And because I was a bit sleepy during some of these episodes, so I must have missed that bit.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that.
Well, no, not really.
But hey, you know, as you guys were talking, I was just thinking about something. The 2 best episodes, in my opinion, were when they were with Baron Zemo.
Yeah.
You know, everything else kind of about it I didn't like.
Well, it's because they were compelled. Like there was like a mystery to it. Like, where are we going? Who are we going to meet? What's John Walker about? There were still some compelling elements. By the last couple episodes, you knew everything was going on. It was just like, let's wrap it up. Let's do the fight. So I might agree that there was. I like the episode. My favorite episode might have been episode 1. I got to be honest. I loved episode 1, dude. It was really, really compelling. I loved it. And then it kind of got worse and worse each episode. And then I loved about half of this last episode. But yeah, I think you're onto something there, maybe.
I just think the chemistry between those 3 was the best part of the show.
But they
When it
did
was
kind of like Zemo like Loki.
yes,
like-
but hey, I'm just saying, I'm trying to be entertained here, right? It doesn't all have to be perfect. I'd take that over the bullshit I got at the end.
Yeah. But and I
I was
say
at
that-
least having fun at that point of the show. I was having a little bit of fun. I was like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? I can look past some of this other stuff that's flawed about it. But when it all comes to a head and they just stick Baron Zemo in prison and they're like Carly's the focus and Sam's sister's shrimp boat story arc, like I don't know.
that's their legacy. That's their legacy. Their family legacy.
That was the most boring part of the show, dude. That fucking shrimp boat, dude. Like everything to do with that story. Just like, let's try and make Sam interesting. It's kind of like Hawkeye and his family. It's like, let's try and make Hawkeye interesting by like adding shit to him. It's just like, dude, he's just not that telling a character. Sorry, like just leave him as he is. You know.
I mean, you're saying all of my thoughts about Zack Snyder's characters. And that's why, let's go there. I think that this show is better than the Snyder Cut purely because
that one scene with Isaiah Bradley is better than the whole Snyder Cut by itself.
Let me say this. Even though there's a lot of bullshit in the show, a lot of filler, they take these complex issues and they're not really subtle with it. At least there are characters that I care about, that I've grown up with. I don't give a motherfuck about Ben Affleck, Batman, about Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, about The Flash, about Aquaman. I don't give a.
That's your problem. What would you?
Guess what, Nerdman? You can. I'm not done. You can make a beautifully shot movie with great cinematography, great action, but if the characters that I'm watching are potatoes, I don't give a fuck about what's happening.
They weren't. That's in your own imagination. They were.
I would much rather watch Sam and Bucky.
They weren't the most fleshed out characters ever, but they weren't like just one-dimensional nothings. I think that look, dude.
What's a characteristic of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman? Give me 3 characteristics about her, other than her looks.
Sorry, I have to get this.
All right, that's okay, man.
Same thoughts on that.
We've talked about
Disney.
this before.
It's the Disney.
We've talked about this before, but the thing with the Snyder characters and the DCEU as a whole is there's just not enough story or personality or characteristics built into them. They just kind of gave us characters that we already know, and put them all together in a rushed, hurried fashion without really taking the time to layer them out, give us the depth. We know who Batman is. We know his story. We didn't need that intro in the Snyder Cut or even the original Justice League movie. We didn't need that. So why did they give us that instead of some actual background about Batman and where he is right now in this universe? Give us a little bit of story about that Robin costume. We know he was killed by the Joker, so give us a little bit of that. Or give us something else. Give us more
Noble,
reasoning
brave,
and story to these characters.
Hey,
noble, brave, compassionate. She thinks hate is useless. I can go on. There's loads of other characteristics of Wonder Woman.
in the comics,
Tell me some
not in the
characteristics-
movies.
Tell me some characteristics of Captain America.
He's
Loyal, selfless,
selfless, loyal.
Loyal. So he sat there, was willing to let everyone die to save Bucky's life, pretty much.
Yes,
What do you win?
he's loyal. He's loyal and
What do you mean,
patriotic
when?
to a fault.
When was he gonna let anybody die?
Dude, he would have let the whole team die to save Bucky. You know
They
that
weren't
would've
gonna die. He was not gonna let anybody die. Nobody was actually in mortal danger of dying to save Bucky.
Bucky
Hurt,
was killing
maybe.
people when he was a Winter Soldier.
And guess what? Hey, a guy.
Wonder Woman isn't a character. Neither is Captain America.
No,
I'm
Nerdman.
sorry.
No, let me
He
tell you.
choked
Let me
Bucky out.
bust
He
in your
fought
face
Bucky.
right now.
He choked
Let me
Bucky.
bust
I
in your
mentioned
face
it.
right now.
Hey, let's not act like
Yeah.
Steve was perfect. He
I
did
would-
fracture. He did risk fracturing the entire cohesiveness and leadership of the Avengers to save his friend because he killed Tony Stark's parents. That wasn't his best moment.
Would you
But-
say
Okay, that's his
Bucky
best
was a
friend. That's the
terrorist?
only
Compelling,
person
though.
he has left from that time period that he was from. That's his
It's-
best friend.
Bro, I'm about to fucking go.
And
apeshit.
you got to understand that he was not in control of his body or mind. That was Hydra.
Listen,
Yeah, you know
well,
I'm trolling. I just had to get under people's skin for a second.
I'm not saying it was a
Birdman.
great moment, but I understand that's loyalty. That's what I'm saying. That's loyalty because that's his best friend.
That's the good
Okay.
old boys club right there. That's what that's called.
Nerdman. I'm
was
talking to
the Winter
Nerdman
Soldier-
specifically. I want Nerdman to look me in my eyes.
Hold on, I think JG's trying to say something.
Okay. Before while Nerdman's configuring in his mind, was the Winter Soldier a terrorist, whether he was mind controlled or not, at one point?
Yes.
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 But it was okay to save him.
You're not
He was literally
didn't
being
get saved,
controlled.
controlled.
No, I'm
He
saying,
got-
was it
he
okay to
got-
save him?
Yes.
Hey JG, I
But
think
it was
what
not
you're
okay
saying
to
is
save Carly,
that no
that he was
terrorist.
and pretty much learn from Carter.
No, I think.
Harley was not.
I think it was
mind
okay.
controlled.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I think what JG's trying to say. What JG's trying to say is everybody deserves a path to redemption, and I think that actually I do agree with. The only part
Yeah,
that
that's
I
what I'm
disagreed
trying
with
to
was that he was just saying, like, don't call her a terrorist. Like, that's not what she is. That's all I had a problem with. But yes, she deserved a path to redemption like anyone else. There's good inside of everyone.
And guess what? Steve grew up with Bucky. And guess what? Steve is compelling because he's selfish. He's clinging on to the last piece of his life, which is Bucky. Yes, he's tearing the Avengers apart. So is Iron Man. It's compelling. Wonder Woman is a piece of stale bread. She is born hot and hot. That's it. She's born with these long legs and this beautiful face. That's all she is. Steve was born a 5'6", 108-pound piece of garbage that they wouldn't even let in the military, and he fought and he fought.
And he wanted
fought.
nothing but to save for his country.
Wait. Now you're
to save lives.
Now you're just telling me the story of Captain America 1.
I'm telling you why that's compelling compared to Wonder
No,
Woman.
you're not. You just
It's
told
not
me the
compelling.
story. You didn't tell me why that's compelling. That's no more
Well,
compelling.
Geek Speak jumped in and
I
stopped me.
find it way more compelling and interesting coming from a paradise island of like only women. I'm like, well, what's that about? It's like an alien, weird world.
That's not compelling.
Than some skinny geek who. Just,
Hey, Nerdman. Hey,
little-
Nerdman.
Skinny geek.
It is
Nerdman.
compelling. It's not
Yeah,
as
why did-
compelling.
Why do the Amazonians, or whatever they're called, why do they have makeup on the island?
Because they
that
have
was
to be
epic.
hot.
Look. look.
I don't understand your
I'm gonna go
point.
back
This
to
is what's compelling, nerd man.
Remember-
This 5'4", 5'6", whatever.
Wait, no.
this short,
Let's.
skinny,
Well, I'm sorry,
anorexic
guys.
guy
I'm gonna have to
jumped
cut
on
you
a
off.
grenade.
Geek Speak. Let's get back to that film elitist quote. That's a great
You mean that-
question.
well, that's not a great question. It's like because it's a film. That's the reason they have makeup, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I guess they should all have smartphones.
Dude, Captain
too,
America
right?
had
Like-
rosy cheeks for every damn movie. What are you talking about?
They are
That shit
supposed
was
to
rosy
be
and
this. They're supposed to be this old society that doesn't even know what a gun is, but they all have perfect makeup. I agree with you, Philmelitis. That's kind of stupid.
Dude, Captain America had the perfect hair and had rosy cheeks and all kind of shit on his face. I don't want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
at least that stuff existed in his time.
He didn't have obvious eyeliner on though, and lipstick.
Yeah, but you saw those cheeks though. That shit was pink as fuck. Now, I know it's not a white thing.
The Amazons didn't have crazy makeup. It wasn't like, it was just film makeup to them so that they'll pop on the screen. That's all it was.
I don't think that's a knock against Wonder Woman. Look, listen. My whole point: a guy who is fucking small, who all he wants to do is serve his country. He's been told no his whole life. He's an altruistic, nice guy who will jump on a grenade for anybody. Is chosen, given one chance.
A million times.
He's given one chance.
Guy. I could do the same story about fucking Shazam. A little boy who was just like geek and he didn't have friends and he was homeless and then
Shazam is more compelling than Wonder Woman.
It's the same fucking thing.
He was an asshole.
I like Captain America. I'm not like trying to diss him or anything like that, but the way you've got a really compelling way of obviously saying what the story in an excited way, but that doesn't make the story compelling or different. It's the same. There's a lot of Hollywood.
It makes the character compelling. It's the character that's compelling because of that story that they built up around him. That's why he's compelling. That's why Wonder Woman isn't compelling. There's nothing compelling about Wonder Woman.
I could say the same thing about Wonder Woman's story. She doesn't know the world of man or violence, and her entering this world, seeing it from fresh eyes, is something that changes and inspires Steve Trevor. It's like, dude, no.
There's a comparison. That would make Steve Trevor compelling, not Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is not compelling. You can tell the story of the movie, but that doesn't make her compelling.
She is
to you. I just said that to you. You could say that about Steve Trevor's story, but that doesn't make it compelling.
But that's not just the story of Steve Rogers. That's like his character. It's ingrained in his character.
Goddamn. Listen, Wonder Woman, I didn't think we were going to go here. I was trying to make a little joke about Zack Snyder, and you had to get so triggered that you made me triggered. So, and I'm choking on a Pringle that I ate 2 hours ago. I don't find Wonder Woman is literally born with the perfect body, the perfect skin, with Amazonian warrior techniques, with great fighting skill. What is that noise? She is born with the silver spoon handed to her. She is a perfect angelic being. When she's a kid, she can fight alongside her aunt and beat these other women because she's already that advanced. She's so good at everything.
She is compelling.
She can walk.
That's precisely everything you described is why she is compelling, because that makes her contrast in man's world. So
that's not cool. When Nerdman, let me finish, Nerdman.
Ultimate privilege.
Let me finish.
Okay, go on.
Let me go on this little tangent, then I'll let you retort it. She is literally born so perfect. When she gets to the man's world, I like the fish out of water stuff with her and Steve Trevor.
So
she doesn't inspire Steve to fucking do better. She's only good because of Chris Pine being a good actor. Gal Gadot is such a terrible actress. And when she walks across no man's land and she's blocking the bullets, it means nothing because she can block bullets with her skin. When Steve jumps on a grenade, she didn't know she
could block bullets at the
story. That's why it was heroic. She didn't know she had those abilities when she got to that part of the story. She just did it anyway.
She blocks bullets in the alleyway. She knows she can block bullets.
She knew she could have been killed walking across that fucking note.
No,
she knows she can block bullets, and she knows that she's faster than the bullets. She literally looked at that bullet whiz by her. Yes, she did.
Hey, can I just make one point?
Full powers at that point in the movie.
I want to finish my point. I want to finish my point real quick, Philmelitis. She saves Steve Trevor in the alleyway. She knows that she can move super fast. She knows that she can block bullets.
Dude, there's a difference.
And hey, even let's say she doesn't know. The fact that we know that she can makes that scene, all the tension is out of it because we know that she's not going to get hurt.
No, because it still makes her act heroic because she didn't know. That's the point of view.
She does know, though.
She doesn't know. The point of view you're supposed to be watching it from is this is a woman who doesn't know her full set of powers yet, and she's just doing it anyway. But yeah, she knows she's got certain abilities more than human beings at that point, but she really hasn't like explored her power set yet. And she walks.
No, man, she doesn't know that she's gonna die. She knows that she won't die. Captain America, when he jumped on the grenade, didn't know that wasn't a real grenade.
That's not true.
You're telling me she did not walk into You're telling me she walked into no man's land thinking that she was not going to die. She didn't think she would die. She knew. You're telling me she didn't know that she could die.
You're saying two things at once. So did she know? Did she think she was going to die? No, I think she had the confidence that she thought that she was going to be able to work her way out of it. Did she know? Why. Did she know that she wasn't going to die? Absolutely not. And it doesn't have to be the same as Steve Trevor's sacrifice or jumping over the grenade. Fine, he jumped over a grenade. She did something else heroic. It's a completely different kind of thing. Not every.
It is different, but that to me is why she's not compelling. That's why I don't find her compelling. So Steve jumped on a grenade. He didn't know it was a dummy grenade.
Geek speak. So at best, she's a ripoff of Captain America in the movies.
Pretty much. Steve Trevor, not Steve Rogers. Steve Trevor, not Steve Rogers. Steve Trevor is more compelling than Wonder Woman.
Can I say one thing?
Film Elitis, let me tell you. The number one reason I don't think she's compelling is because she's a terrible actress. I don't believe a word that comes out of her fucking mouth.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, I'm just trying to say. I'm trying to finish my point.
Okay, but
she is a terrible fucking actress. Now you go.
Okay, that's fine, but it's also a problem with DC. Is that think about Thor? Thor only became interesting, in my opinion, around the Ragnarok storyline in Infinity War and Endgame, because he got knocked down a peg. He got knocked down a peg. He's a god. We want to see him put in a human Greek Shakespearean tragedy, right? We want to see him knocked down a peg. Superman and Wonder Woman, it's very similar. You have to humanize them. I don't think DC's done a good job of that in the films. That's all I was going to say.
This is a whole conversation for another time.
I'm going to say something. Sorry. I'm going to say something.
He's shoveling noodles into his mouth.
I'm eating my fucking noodle. All right. Look, the whole point of Wonder Woman as a character is she comes to Earth from a privileged paradise that doesn't know racism, that doesn't know sexism, that doesn't know class division, that doesn't know any of these things. And it's her purity and nobility comes from that perspective that she just does. When she comes to our world, she's looking at it and judging it from a set of eyes that doesn't understand what makes humanity such a divided, species, right? So the whole interest of the character comes from that sense of, as I said, like basically she's looking at the world through a certain level of purity that inspires those around her. And also it's a journey of her like realizing, that her very simplistic worldview of good and evil is actually a little bit more muddier than she first thinks, having just lived on this island and never experienced the world of man or never met a man before. That's for me interesting. That's an interesting story.
I don't think Wonder Woman. I don't think the Wonder Woman film is bad, and I wouldn't use it as an example of my problem with DC. You're making some good points. I mean, I'm not nearly as passionate as Geek Speak or Philosophical Pickle about this issue, but I do think that DC has a problem with their heroes and their villains. They don't do nearly as good a job as the Marvel productions do at humanizing their characters.
Yeah, but I don't think DCs are supposed to be humanized. That's the thing.
I mean, they're basically gods.
Yeah, they're mythic.
Yeah, but don't you think that's what makes it interesting?
No, but even Batman's mythic. He's not very human either.
But
but the human parts of him are what appeal to you. The loss of his parents. the darkness inside of him, the connection to his city. That's what makes Batman. The idea that anyone could be Batman is what makes him appealing.
No, I don't think so. I think that's not true.
The Flash is the same way.
You're entitled to your opinion. I don't think that's why Batman's compelling. To me, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we went the train got off the tracks here. I don't even know how we got here. I heard, like Steve tells Wanda in Civil War. I just heard Bucky, and my mind just went away. I heard somebody talk shit about Steve. I just had to come at it.
Yeah.
No, I was just
go on.
I was just saying that. What were we saying? I was just joking about Zack Snyder's characters being stale pieces of bread. And like that's the point is you make a good compelling point for why Wonder Woman's a good character, but Gal Gadot does not sell it. She's one of the worst actresses I've ever seen in any of these movies, period.
I don't agree with that.
She's
terrible.
We'll have to agree to disagree. That's all.
Yeah, I think she was good in Wonder Woman. I think she was terrible in Wonder Woman 1984, but essentially that script was so fucking horrible that I don't think.
I think Steve Trevor is the only saving grace, and they know that, which is why they brought him back in the first place for 84s, because they know that they honestly, by herself, she can't lead a movie.
Of course she can.
She can't.
She can.
I'm sorry. She's bad.
Why bring back a character that was dead?
What? Why bring back? I don't know why they thought to bring him back. I think it was an idiotic idea. But I think she could definitely lead a movie by herself. It's just, I think Gal Gadot is one of those actresses that, again, I compare her to like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that. And I don't mean, obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger is a way bigger deal than Gal Gadot,
and a better actor.
She falls in line with him.
But I think she's got a good screen charisma. Utilized right.
Show us that clip. Let's watch this clip.
I've already admitted she's bad in this film,
and she's. I'll pull one from Wonder Woman 1 and Justice League in every interview she's ever been in.
All right, go on.
Well, I'll say this about Gal Gadot, right? She's not a strong actress at all. I don't think. She's an actress where you give her a script, she'll do whatever's on the script, right? She's not a person that can improvise and make a character her own. I just don't see that in her.
Well, JG, listen to this line.
I mean, look where she came from. She came from Fast
Let's listen to this line reading.
Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone. What happened to it?
That is Saturday Night Live acting, dude. She's so bad. She's terrible. I can find dozens of scenes like that. No, she's so bad. Oh man, it's not her accent. It's she's a bad actress.
Can you pull up a Wonder Woman clip that's equally as bad? Wonder Woman 2017.
Let's find out. Any scene that she's in.
I don't think she's bad in any of it.
I'll say she's better than what's the name that was Captain Marvel.
Hey, Nerdman, that's the one thing I will say. She is still better than Captain Marvel, and that's saying a lot because I love Marvel movies. So I will say that the first Wonder Woman is better than Captain Marvel. I think Captain Marvel
is a good movie.
It's the MCU. What's so great about Captain Marvel is the MCU's worst movie.
You don't have.
I mean, I don't. People can dislike her. It doesn't. I can understand that, but I just don't think you can say she put in a bad performance in Wonder Woman 1. I really don't think so.
Every single time she's trying to look.
I do not think she was bad in Batman v Superman either. I think the weakness started to show around Wonder Woman 4 and Justice League, where it was like.
Dude, all she does is pose. When she's trying to look intimidating, she poses like a model. Well, I was hoping there'd be some dialogue there.
Dude, for a woman who's supposed to be like a warrior and supposed to convey that she's like stronger than most men, I think she does like actually. No, like really, she's actually quite good at that. If there's one thing I will, I can give her complete credit for is that I've never thought, oh, like this is, I don't believe this like little.
No.
I did think you
Yeah,
were
what's wrong with this
cool, you know. He's
I
been
want to
gone
find
for
out.
weeks, not a single word. Very unlike him. Introduce myself. It's Etta Candy. I'm Steve Trevor's secretary.
What is a secretary?
Ooh, well, I do everything. I go where he tells me to go, and I do what he tells me to do.
Oh, well, where I'm from, that's called slavery.
I really like her.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Ladies,
I
after you.
I do. I like her. And it does rather feel like that, except it pays better.
Your country.
Warmer. It's fashion. Keeps our tummies in.
Why
So,
must you keep them in?
Only a woman with no tummy would ask that question.
Like, dude, every line that comes out of her mouth is so stale, has no energy to it, and she's held up by the actors around her.
She's playing the fact that she does not know this world or understand the world she's in absolutely fine.
That's how they had to write her, because they were like, okay, we need half of the script to be her going, huh? What? And they had minimal dialogue.
No, that's
Because
just
she's
the
that
story. That's just the
She's
story
not
and
that
origin.
serious.
This is the origin of Wonder Woman from the comics. It's not like this doesn't divert from the actual origin.
I am not opposed to engaging.
Wonder Woman comes into the world from fucking Themyscira. She doesn't know anything about the world. She's like, "Ooh, what's all this?" That's all from the fucking comics. That's
fine.
She probably
does not
shows some
represent
emotion,
Wonder
at
Woman.
least in the
No
comics.
excuse. Huh?
I said at
Sorry?
least she shows emotion in the comics. Like she probably shows actual emotion in the comics when she's
showed emotion
like you said,
there.
oh, what's this? What's this?
She showed confusion. She showed
does
emotion.
not- she's-
Hey,
she's
JG.
not-
She's
She's
confused
not
at the
showing it
script.
very well.
I really don't see what you're seeing.
Well, JG is muted. We got to do a whole. We went way off the rails here. We got to do a whole stream about something like this, because, like DC versus Marvel, I could go all day about how the Snyder Cut isn't as good as even a medium Marvel. The Snyder Cut isn't even as good as an average MCU movie.
Dude,
It's about on par with Thor: The Dark World.
Nerdman, you were looking hot in that Under Armour tracksuit, buddy.
Yeah, guys, this video is sponsored by Under Armour. Hey, there you are, JG. Do you have any thoughts about DC and Marvel?
Dude, I'm a DC guy from birth, so I'm a little biased, but I will say the MCU has done a far much better job than DC has been doing. I have to admit that. Right?
JG, Wonder Woman is better than most MCU characters, right?
The movie Wonder Woman?
Gal Gadot or Wonder Woman as a character?
No, just all of it. Just say yes, for God's sake. What are you?
I can't, because Gal Gadot is not.
Hey guys,
Gal Gadot cannot act. But Wonder Woman, yes, is better than half of MCU, more than half of MCU's characters.
Thank you. That's the spirit. So is the Flash.
Hey guys,
but Gal Gadot does so.
Oh, come on.
I was just gonna say I gotta go.
Geek speak. All right, dude.
Yeah, I gotta go.
All right, dude. It was fun having you.
Hey man, it was nice to see you again, dude.
Yeah, it's always fun to conversate with you, nerd man. I love it.
I'll
We're gonna
text
go
you,
toe to toe one day. We're gonna go toe to toe on this DC Marvel thing. We're gonna have a whole stream. This is gonna be our first 6-hour stream. We're gonna go all day.
Let's do it next week.
Absolutely. DC versus Marvel next week. I'm down.
Yeah, let's do it. Film Elitist, you got to be on for that as well.
Yeah, hey guys, to end this, everybody give a letter grade 1 out of 10, or like 1 to 10. What do we think about Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Then we'll end it.
That's not a letter grade. That's a number grade.
All that Film Elitist always knows how to get me, man. Okay, give it a letter grade then.
I say
1.8.
Out of 10?
1.8.
I'll say like a B plus, maybe an A minus. I think I'm gonna go with B plus.
All right, JG.
I'll give it a.
B.
I'll give it a B minus.
All right, I'm going numbers. I'm going 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
You said letter.
Well, I changed it. You know, sometimes people evolve, and I just evolved to letters. 6.5 out of 10, baby. Which I think would be like a C plus or a B minus.
I think 6. I think it's either 6 or 6.5.
I'll give it a 7.
Okay. Film elitist, what you got, man? What do you rate it?
3.5 out of 10, also known as a D minus.
Damn.
God. Dang.
Got him.
I thought it was going to be lower than that.
Pickle, Nerdman, Film elitist, JG.
I think the good outweigh the bad.
Can't wait to do it again next week. Peace, guys.
Peace, man. I think the good outweighed the bad, but only slightly. That's why I'd give it a 6.5.
I agree, because I gave WandaVision a 6 out of 10. I think this is slightly better, and it has much more rewatchability. Like, I don't ever want to go back and rewatch WandaVision because all the mystery of it's all gone. I don't want to watch them in a sitcom for 3 episodes.
WandaVision's like a 4.
I can see that.
Really, really bad.
Yeah.
Film elitist didn't see WandaVision, so he doesn't know. But
good, you're
I
a
told him
lucky
about
man.
it. He doesn't. He from the sound of it, he doesn't like what I told him about it. So, any last thoughts, film elitist?
Yeah, I just don't feel compelled to watch almost any of the Marvel stuff anymore. I'm pretty much only excited for Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse. It'll be cool to see the X-Men and to see the Fantastic Four. I really want to see Doctor Doom done properly, but I also have to sit here and worry about the direction they're going to take all these characters. So I'm just really disappointed with Marvel lately.
All right.
Well, what do you think about I'm Doc Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I'm intrigued by that. Other than that, from what we've seen in these last 2 sitcoms, whatever you want to call it, I'm really concerned about Loki. I'm very concerned about that. Other than that, man, like I said, I'm not really an MCU guy, so I can care less about any of them. But
okay.
I'm curious about what they're going to do with the Wolverine series that they keep talking about they're going to do. I don't know what direction they're going to go, what actor they're going to choose. Like I said, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. I won't even say because I don't like that. What's his face? He annoys me. When I see him on screen, I get triggered. I just get annoyed.
Tom Holland?
Yeah, I get annoyed every time.
We got to have a talk after class, buddy.
He pisses me off. He
He's
fucking annoys me.
He's right. He's right,
like,
bro.
I feel like want to punch the screen. He just has that face. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean.
He's Iron Boy. Iron Boy, Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's just, he's not Spider-Man. He's not even Spider-Boy. He's not. He's
Iron Boy.
Yeah, he's just.
He's more.
And Wonder Woman is better than him. And Shazam.
Hey, I'm a Spider-Man purist, and I love Tom Holland, but I think that Marvel's making some mistakes with the Spider-Man character. I will say that.
They're making a lot of mistakes with Spider-Man.
They're making a lot of mistakes, period.
I know that's. I guess that's our final thoughts.
I really wish they would just bring Captain America and Iron Man back and just make movies of them, because like all of this other universe stuff is. It's like, to me, I don't know. It's useless. Anyway, go on.
It's a double-edged sword for me. My last thought is that, like, I want there to be stakes, because if they come back, then that just means that their sacrifices were useless. I do want them to. I'm not gonna lie though. I was hoping, crossing my fingers, that old man Steve Rogers would come out and give a speech to Sam at the end of this episode, and I was disappointed he didn't come. But like we need some finality in these stories, but also like it's not going to be as good as the good old days, man. Like we're never going to have that feeling again when the Avengers first came together, and it's just different now that some of these heroes are gone, and some people say it's a good direction. I don't think so, but I'm excited for Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Black Panther 2. I'm sure there are some things. Fantastic Four. There's hope. Shang-Chi looks good.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
some hope.
Shang-Chi looks going to be good.
Yeah, Shang-Chi looks pretty good. But
I think the
Chong?
so in an interview, they said that you're supposed to pronounce it Shang-Chi.
Well, I did an interview where I said that they can kiss my ass.
That's racist.
Shang-Chi.
I mean,
I am a Trump fan. Yeah, I do support Trump.
No, that
I think you've muted yourself, Film Elitist, if you're trying to say something.
Film Elitist?
yeah. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying the Shang-Chi trailer did. The Shang-Chi trailer did look okay to me.
Shang-Chi, baby.
I'm not the only one who fucking did it. I was called like some terrible things on my last stream. I didn't know how to pronounce the name at first, and I was intimating the story. But anyway, yeah.
Guys, we're edging towards 3 hours here, so let's end this.
Yeah.
We went on for like 30 minutes talking about Wonder Woman, which I didn't intend, but it was fun. It was really fun talking to you guys. JG Shallon, terrific. You don't have a YouTube channel yet, do you?
No, it's coming though.
It's coming. Film Elitist, you don't have one yet, but it's coming soon, right?
Yeah, I'm working on a podcast actually, so I'll give you the details when that happens.
Yes. And wait, no, this way. Nerdman, go subscribe to the Nerdman. He doesn't have as many subscribers as he deserves, man. Even though he has some bullshit takes on the MCU and the Snyderverse. Go subscribe to him, man. The Nerdman, Hot Takes Tuesdays.
What a great advert for my channel. Oh, by the way, when are we doing this Mortal Kombat thing? I don't think we should do it today. I think maybe tomorrow.
I'm cool with doing it tomorrow.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll be discussing Mortal Kombat tomorrow. So guys, come
on
over to
his channel, Hot Takes Tuesdays. Go
Got
there.
it.
We're gonna be talking about Mortal Kombat.
Probably around the same time.
All right. JG, what are your last words, man?
Marvel sucks. Wonder Woman's the best. Let's go.
That's it.
Okay. So you no longer kick ass and take names for a living.
Oh, I always kick ass. And I always take names. On a daily basis. But for today, Marvel sucks. Wonder Woman's the GOAT.
All right. Film Elitist, sign out. Film Elitist, what do you have to say?
Make Marvel great again.
Oh man. Okay. The Nerdman. What are your last? What's your last plug?
That was a good prawn. Dude, this has been a really amazing conversation. Always loved that we're all open and feel safe to talk about anything. So it's been great, man. And yeah, Wonder Woman and JG Shaolin are the GOATs.
Okay, guys. I'm glad that you guys watched this. If you watched 5 minutes or 10 minutes or the whole 3 hours, I appreciate it. Philosophical Pickle on YouTube, Hot Takes Tuesdays on YouTube. Guys, this was fun. We're gonna end it here. And until we meet again, guys. Peace.
Holla.